Hello everybody, how's it going? And welcome back to the Kill Connor Club podcast. I'm one of your hosts, James, and I'm joined, as always, by Tyler.
As always, how's it going, mate?
Not too bad, it's going pretty good. And today, we're joined by a very special guest, Centerstrain, or Chris. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. How you guys doing?
Pretty good. Pretty
very,
good.
Very well. James, you don't
very
sound
well.
What's going
Do
on?
I not? Do I not? I'm fine.
You just sound
like
down.
well, like sad. I sound sad.
You just sound like a Debbie Downer.
You think so? I'll try my best not to. I'm not sure what's up there. Maybe I am. Maybe I don't know.
It's just one of those days, huh?
I mean, I feel alright. I don't know. Like, now you've told me I feel sad. Now I actually am kind of sad. So, I don't know.
Did you do your ritual of waking up every morning, looking in the mirror and going, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like me?
I made sure. That's every morning, yeah.
It's more like the opposite of that. He's just like, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, and gosh darn, nobody likes you. And he does it, not in the morning, but in the afternoon when he wakes up at 3 p.m. So
living the life, that's the dream.
That's the standard James ritual. If I know James, that's what I think's going on.
That's probably 85, maybe 90% accurate, yeah, sure.
All right, so, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Kill Connor Club podcast, which is powered thanks to the great people over at patreon.com/AsAlways. So we'll start off to thank some of those amazing patrons that are supporting us and the podcast. So first of all, I'd like to thank Ben, or Modorox. We have Victor, who has joined us over on Patreon. Thanks, Victor. We have Quizhek, Josh Devillier, Xeno Rheao, Damian, Mario 5380, Lumistrad. We have Big Old George, or Long-Eared Fox. We have Yazen, Joshua Maurer, Gene, Marcus Blackburn, TheHumbleWorm, Nimbus, Seth, Tom Cunningham, Oscar, RAVJAI, Zack Neely, Son of a Bitch Ogeaidogo, you motherfucker, Tyler Tranter, Brendon,
What
or
a
Bitch
name.
Overlord.
Wow.
and Pink Flame 313. Thanks, you sweet vintage lads, for supporting us. Yeah, well, it was just Ogeaidogo, but every time I had to pronounce it, I didn't know how to say it properly. So I kept saying, you son of a bitch, every time I did it, so he changed his name to what I was saying.
I love him.
Which is great. Which is great. All right, so, Chris, why don't you tell the people who may not know you just a little bit about yourself, your YouTube channel, and what you do?
Oh man, that's that's a long story there.
We've got plenty of time.
My name is, or my channel name is Centerstrain01. I'm from the United States. Let's see, where do I begin? Well, I do walkthroughs of video games on YouTube, where I pretty much try to help people learn how to beat games on the hardest difficulty settings, you know, like real guides, not like, you know, stumble throughs or things like that, but like actual real guides. I started this channel back in 2010. I actually started in this business via the game Rock Band, which came out, what was that, back in 07, I think. I raced up to the leaderboards because in my real life, I am a drummer for the United States Army. That's what I do for a living, is I'm a drummer in the U.S. Army Rock Band.
Okay.
And got to #1 for a long period of time in the game Rock Band. And that's how I got into the business, because with Harmonix, they saw me, and then they got in contact with me way back when, and then I was been sponsored by them and all that stuff, and did all that.
Can I say that's the most rock and roll shit I've ever heard? I'm a drummer in the military. That's the most rock and roll shit I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's
I just
pretty cool.
imagine you in the middle of like Afghanistan, like playing like Metallica or something, like in the desert.
That's a true story. I've been to Afghanistan, and we did Metallica. I really enjoyed playing over there, because when you're actually playing in Afghanistan and you're playing for other soldiers and other people, there's like a feeling that you just don't get in America, right? Because these people are listening to this music and all they're thinking about is just rocking, you know? They're not thinking about anything else but just feeling the music, because they're so far away from home. So like the crowd just gets really involved, and I'm more of a hard rock kind of a drummer. You know, I like to play Metallica, obviously, Avenged Sevenfold, Dream Theater, Tesseract. I mean, I'm more of that hardcore drummer, double bass, all that kind of stuff.
Phenomenal.
But yeah, and I've done that now. Well, I was a cop for the first 4 years in the Army, and then I've been in the Army now 16 years. I just hit 16 years. And I just got out of active duty last year so that I can do YouTube full time. And now that I do YouTube full time, I do Army part time. So I kind of did the little switch, trying to make the dream, become a reality.
Wow.
Cool.
That's an amazing fucking story. That's
is.
awesome. So you're saying you're switching to YouTube full time. How did that kind of come about? How did you build that audience and in turn be able to do, like you said, you do and try to live that dream?
Well, building an audience is not something that just happens overnight for most people. So it took obviously a long time. Like I said, when I started the channel, like even before this channel that I have now, it was all about Rock Band and doing rock videos and stuff like that. But then with all copyright back when YouTube was still getting started, channels were getting deleted left and right because of music, and that's when the copyright stuff started really happening. So I had to stop literally playing Rock Band, and then I said, well, I'm I'm really good at one thing in video games, and that's mainly like stealth and tacticalness, just because that's just kind of how my mind works. And I'm blind in my right eye, so I only see out of one eye. So that's made me kind of sit back and like games that make you think and that don't you just run and gun. I like run and gunning. I like Call of Duty games and stuff like that for fun, but I never can be really good at them because I'm always that person who sees someone just a little bit too late, because when you only see out of one eye, your reflexes just aren't there. So I've kind of adapted stealth as like kind of my main thing, as I can sit.
Was that
take
an
my
army
time.
injury?
No, it's something I was just born with.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've had surgeries throughout, my life, but I just can't see out of my right eye. So I've just learned to kind of, see things with my left eye and do what I can. And I've loved every minute of it. My job for the Army, and then doing YouTube. So I started doing walkthroughs, and then slowly built an audience. But then I deployed for a year, and then I couldn't. I lost a lot of people, so then I had to rebuild all over again when I got back, and I've been doing that ever since. And now I just passed 250,000 subscribers. So it's been a long journey, but my channel is more like a niche channel. I refuse to change. I refuse to be that kind of person that just tries to stumble through games. I always try to be the person that it wants to, like, I always have two main goals when it comes to making videos: is to help the audience make a choice whether or not a specific game is going to be right for them, if they're going to want to actually, play it, and to hopefully help you, if you're getting stuck in a certain situation, be able to get out of that situation. That's always like my two main goals when it comes to, showing videos and stuff like that. So channel's been growing. We've been doing, what we can, and I've just been enjoying and always remembering that it can go at any second. So I just enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, great point. So you've, over the last year, I'm not actually sure, been in contact with Ubisoft, right? Is this a game, Assassin's Creed Origins, the first Assassin's Creed game you've been like in contact and communication with Ubisoft, and they've invited you out to these events?
No, I have been affiliated with Ubisoft since, I want to say, 2013 was when I first got on board with them. As far as events go, my first event that I actually went to was Assassin's Creed Chronicles China
Oh,
in
I'm sorry.
2015. I enjoyed it. I loved it. I love those kind of things, like kind of Mark of the Ninja type of stealth stuff. That actually, like, I beat the whole game on Shadow Gold. It was great. And if you look on YouTube, I mean, my videos are the first ones up there when it comes to the walkthroughs for it. I really, really enjoy that. But when it comes to contact, I guess you could say Far Cry 3 or 4 was one of my first, like, kind of when they first contacted me, somewhere around in there. But I've played pretty much, I've been to Assassin's Creed Chronicles event, then I went to Assassin's Creed, obviously, Syndicate, and then now I've played just a crap load of Assassin's Creed Origins. And then I've done every other Ubisoft game that's come out since then, and I've been to all of their events and stuff like that. They're very, very generous. They treat the influencers very, very well because they know that essentially what we are is free PR. So we're able to spread the word of games and spread the word of their games and stuff like that. And they've treated me with the utmost respect and stuff like that. So I've been very blessed.
So, what are your thoughts overall then on the franchise? Because I mean, I'm not sure if you've ever heard this podcast or James and I talk about it, but we have very specific, I guess, opinions of it. I mean, you can probably tell from the name that there's one particular game at the very least we're not the biggest fans of.
It's Arno, right? It's got to be Arno. No. But I got a really funny thing here. Recently, the voice artist who's playing Bayek, he contacted me on Twitter, and he was telling me how he's enjoyed the videos that I've put out and stuff like that. And I was talking to him about how because there's some stuff that I've got to see behind the scenes that obviously I can't talk about, but really show how they're treating Bayek's character in more of a spiritual way, like they treated Ezio's character, where it's like a story. Where it starts from the beginning. It's not like you got that same thing from Connor, obviously, but you just didn't feel there was the only connection you felt with Connor was because you played over half the game as his father, But once Connor came around, it just took way too long to kind of get into him as a character, and he just didn't bring any magic. Not that the voice actor did a bad job. I just think that the writing wasn't necessarily there. They could have made the writing a little bit better to really make you feel for that character and all the things that he was going through. But from what I've played and what I've seen, to me, at least in my opinion, they've made Bayek definitely feel like Ezio, feel like this is someone that you're rooting for. This is between him and Aya. There's a connection there, and you feel that connection. And they've done a great job at bringing that in. So I'm really excited for that. But I also agree with you guys. Maybe not. I don't want to kill Connor, but I do definitely feel like his character is definitely kind of on the lower end of my favorite Assassin's Creed characters.
Yeah. Well, I guess a funny story as well, especially for a new guest. But with the podcast name, the way it came about was, I mean, people listening to this have probably heard this story 1,000 times. Like, Tyler, shut the fuck up. But pretty much this podcast came about by accident when James and I did a live stream before Unity, and it was back when everyone was kind of talking about, oh, will Connor make an appearance in Unity or something? And I was like, wouldn't it be cool if Connor tried to kill Elise, and then Arno killed Connor, and then we're like, that would be sick if Connor got killed. That would save Assassin's Creed. and then someone in the James, what's the name of the person that commented?
Red Wolf, I think.
Red Wolf, yeah. Comments, kill Connor Club, and then from there, boom, we started a podcast, and we just.
It's a name that definitely grabs your attention.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it certainly does. And here we are, over 3 years later. It's doing all right.
And he's somehow still alive. You haven't quite killed him yet.
Not yet. Yet's the key word.
You're inching away slowly. It's more of a torture, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got to be a slow burn like his game was.
Slow burn, yeah.
So what's your favorite Assassin's Creed then, Chris? Are you like us, which are just a couple of 1-2 Ezio dick riders, or what are your favorite games?
Well, I mean, I've played every single Assassin's Creed game. So, my favorite, obviously, and I know this is really cliche, but my favorite character is Ezio, of course, just because.
Of course.
I've got to talk to Roger Craig Smith, and he's such an amazing guy, and he does an amazing job with Ezio. I mean, that's just one of those instances where. The writing was done well, and the guy playing it was just a perfect fit. And you really got into his character. So to me, his character, Ezio, is the one that is the best for me. Now, as far as game-wise, I usually get a little bit of, I wouldn't say hate, but a little bit of kind of pondering why. But my favorite, at least as of right now, because I don't want to say anything, I don't want to say my favorite's Origins yet until I've played and beat the full game. But so far, my favorite is actually Revelations, and a lot of people always ask me why is Revelations my favorite, and
I'm not
I
mad
say
at
that is because, for one, that was when Ezio was at his his peak. It's like when he was, the character was so fleshed out that like you just, I don't know, I just understood him the most at that point in his life. That he was a hard-driven assassin by that point. He's had so much happen to him, and it was finally time for him to settle down. And then he finally got the chance to settle down for a little bit after Revelations. And to me, it felt like I don't know. I really enjoyed. I'm a huge history buff, and going around in Constantinople was so much fun for me, you know, and I just loved. I thought Revelations done a great job with like bringing all the great things that you loved from number 2, and then all of the really fun like kind of things that you loved from Brotherhood, bringing in the actual like kind of Brotherhood themselves and stuff like that. Really kind of just to me was the pinnacle of what Assassin's Creed has been so far. But I know a lot of people don't necessarily agree with that one. Some people say Assassin's Creed 2. You know, everyone has their taste, but I just felt that Revelations was the one that really showed me, like, just let me loose and just let me be an assassin and felt like I was in charge of everything.
Sure. With Revelations, I've found recently that it's a lot of people's least favorite game, which I was shocked by.
Bizarre.
So strange. I don't get that, but apparently that's the case, which is odd. I love it.
I mean,
People
it's so
hate
hard
joy
because
and
you got Revelations, and then right after that you have the amazing Black Flag, and most people don't consider Black Flag the best game, the best Assassin's game. That's because they consider it the best pirate game, as opposed to the best Assassin's game.
Definitely.
You know, because it definitely went more towards a pirate's life as opposed to an assassin's life. Like, you know, because there was a lot of things in Black Flag that just made me kind of think, like, why would they do this? You know, why would, even before you become an assassin, you're doing a leap of faith, you know, when you land on, you know, that after your ship sinks or whatever. Spoiler, sorry guys. When your ship sinks, and you now you're killing an assassin who's like well trained, and you know you're just some pirate. You know, like they didn't set anything up, so it was a little bit harder to feel for that character than what you did with Ezio. But its gameplay was what set. It has the best like gameplay in general of all the games. So it's, you know, it was so fun. And what's cool is the fact that you got the game director for that is the same game director for Origins, and I've really got to. You know, talk with him and see the love that all of the guys, all of the developers, and everyone has for Origins. And I'm so glad I was one that was completely on board with the waiting a year, because sometimes if you just do a year after year after year, it can get stale. But for me, I enjoyed having an Assassin's Creed every year because I love Assassin's Creed. But it was getting stale, and obviously they need to move the series forward. They need to reinvent, just like Assassin's Creed 1 was amazing, but it was so repetitive. And then when 2 came around, you were like, holy shit, this is what an Assassin's game can be. And then from there, you know, they've gone up, they've gone down, then they went back up a little bit. You know, they've been kind of all over the place. And I really feel and that this iteration, it's going to take people so it's going to take them some time to get used to the new controls. That's going to be the biggest thing, I think. The first thing you're going to see on Twitter is everybody's going to be like, I hate these controls. That's just because they're so used to what Assassin's Creed has been, because they've got, you know, they've changed it. Every iteration had something tiny different. And then you finally got to Syndicate, and everything felt like, okay, you weren't like, you know, your fingers weren't crossing each other when you were trying to climb something anymore. But then now they've gone to a more modern RPG kind of control scheme, and it's going to take a while, but once you actually finally get into it, you're going to see the genius behind it. And you can always switch back to legacy controls if you don't like change and you want to sit in a corner. You know?
That's me. I don't like change. Legacy controls all the way. I mean, I'm glad you've told me this. That will be the first thing I do. I won't even start the game because we will change
Classic
controls.
Tyler.
Yeah. That's what I do with Halo. I still play on Halo
I mean,
1
Halo,
controller.
yeah.
There
It's
is
always
still,
got to play
even when you
recon.
go back, I will tell you this, even when you go back to Legacy Control, there still is some different stuff. And the reason being is because now you have two types of attacks. You have a light attack and a heavy attack. Well, you never had a light attack and a heavy attack before. So there is going to be some differences, like even in the Legacy. So
That's
you're
all right.
still,
It's just the least amount of change.
yes, but it's just I never was a fan of, pressing forward and then holding RT and then also holding A to run. I mean, I feel like that's just way too many controls to do something that's supposed to be so simple. So
Have you tried
the
out
fact
Legacy
that you can do it
controls?
all with the thumbstick now, and if you need to jump something, you press A, which is essentially your jump button or your parkour button, however you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And it just feels so much more natural for me to do that. So I mean, it took a while though. I mean, even when I played this new this new section of the game that we got to play, the first 10 minutes they changed some controls again, and so it took a little while to get used to it again. They moved around a couple of things like the lock on and all that kind of stuff. But once I found it and once I saw all that, it became second nature again, and it was pretty fun.
Did you play the Legacy controls at all? Is that would that change it to the running to like the right trigger and stuff?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm doing that straight up.
That's
interesting.
That'll be interesting to try out. But I feel that the with the game being rebuilt, the new controls are built for the new game, and so I feel like those are the controls I sort of need to play with. Like I'm just gonna
realize very quickly if you play with Legacy that you're gonna be comfortable in the control setting, but you're gonna be limited in what you can do as an RPG, because this is not the Assassin's Creed game of the old. This is a new breed. This is RPG that's at the same height as Assassin's Creed. So you have to think of it like, and I don't like to do comparisons because, there's no reason we need to compare this game or what it's trying to be to another game, because then all that does is set you up for either disappointment one way or another. You've got to kind of let it stand on its own and then make a decision. But to me, it feels like with these new controls, it's the best way to go about what the things that you can do in the game are. Like no longer do you have those, and I always call them magnets, where like if you just imagine that there's like a vertical lines all over the screen, and every time you jump in a direction, it magnetizes you slightly towards a specific thing, right? Mm-hmm. That feeling of magnetization is gone. So I feel like I can, wherever I want to jump to specifically, is a lot more smoother. And before it used to be the point, like if you were on a little bit of a ledge and you needed to drop down, I mean, you had to press the A button to drop down. You couldn't just drop down. Sometimes you'd stick on the ledge and then all of a sudden you'd jump off instead of just drop down. You don't do that anymore. You'll drop down and you'll be able to go right into stealth instead of having to like awkwardly jump past somebody because, the controls were just set up a little weird.
Interesting. Yeah,
that'll be something.
So we talked about your base of kind of like you as a fan of Assassin's Creed. Was the first one you played Assassin's Creed 1, or was it Assassin's Creed 2 like a lot of people's was?
Oh, Assassin's Creed 1. I mean, I've been in the series since the very, very, very beginning for Xbox. Yeah, that was the first one, and I was amazed. But then again, I felt the same thing other people felt was, holy shit, this is amazing, because I'm such a history buff. But at the same time, when you got into the normal missions and it was just repeated over and over and over again, I mean, that really, really kind of hampered down the overall effect of the game.
Yeah, that makes sense. So with Assassin's Creed Origins and getting invited out to play this, how many times have you just played it the one time?
No, I've let's see, 3 separate events.
Jesus Christ. Okay. So you played a few hours.
I've played a total now of about 12 hours.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, and I barely even scratched the surface. Like, I don't even feel like if there was a meter that said how much I've played in all the time that I've played, it would say like 4%. There's just so much to do. so much to see, you know. So what's wrong with taking the back street? I'm just kidding. That was a song.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I felt like, first of all, when a game grips you so much, like me, you know, I've got ADHD really, really bad. I'm a drummer. It makes sense, right? I like to do multiple things at once. If I'm playing a video game, I can only usually play a video game for like an hour or two before I got to say, get me the heck away from this game or I'll hate it forever. Just the way my mind works, you know, so I try to move on to something else and then let it refresh and then go back. But with Assassin's Creed Origins, I sat there and I just wanted to keep playing. I didn't want to stop. Every event that I went to, when there were other games to be seen at the event too, and you know you're scheduling a time to try to sit at this for an hour, and then you go over to like say Far Cry or something else. I just kept saying, "Listen here, you know, did you have another spot open? Let me play another hour." I wanted just to keep playing. And this last event, I did the same thing. We had like it was set up into 2 4-hour events, so. First, I was at the first 4-hour one, and then there was another one right after that. And I said, well, my flight's not leaving until like later in the evening. So I said, do you think you can sneak me in to the second session? And, you know, don't tell anybody, but I did. And so I played a whole nother 3 hours. So I recorded for 3 hours the first session, and then I did another, you know, 2.5 hours the second session, just so I could like have as. It's not that I'm going to show all of that footage, like 5 hours of footage. No, it's so that I could do things multiple times and see how they pan differently, see how how you can manipulate some of the AI to see like how some of the AI works, like with using poison, you know, poisoning dead bodies and seeing how it can affect the enemies. I did a couple of things where, and I can say this because it's been shown in previous, you know, playthroughs of the game so far. Mm-hmm. But there's nothing more fun than, you know, stealthing a guy like in a bush or something, and then poisoning his body, and then taking his body to the middle of this camp, and you know, whistling for all the enemies to come and see the body, and they all just gather around the body like, what the hell happened to George? You know, why is he on the ground? You know. And then all of a sudden, they all just start coughing. They all just start coughing, you know, like, you know, oh, what's going on, you know? And then they go back about their business. All right, someone's killed George. We're going to do a search perimeter. You know, horrible acting here. That's not how it really went. But I'm just explaining. And then all of a sudden, you just start seeing their health being taken away, right? And it just keeps going away, and you keep seeing them cough. And then they keep coughing more and more slowly. And then all of a sudden they start puking. Then they fall to the ground puking, and like their friends are like, "Oh my God, are you? What's wrong?" You know? And it's like, I don't know. It was like I just sat there, and I got gameplay of this. I just sat there, and I was like, I'm so mesmerized at how these guys are just dying so slowly. It was just amazing, you know. I
that
had
does
so
sound
much
pretty
fun
cool,
doing it, and it's going to be a really cool video. So I can't wait to show that.
Mm.
So there's plenty, obviously, you can't say about what you saw. But
well, it's not that I can't say about what I've seen, because what I've seen is in no way going to ruin like anything for you guys, if you know what I mean. Like what they've shown us is not even remotely like we didn't see. I would say there was only one like spoilery thing, and I really wouldn't even really call it that we've seen. Other than that, what we've seen is just the world, right? It's just how the world works and all that stuff. It's not like we've really seen a lot of like oh my God, we found out that Bayek has 3 testicles. Big spoiler, you know. No, we didn't see any huge, you know, big spoiler like that. I mean, it was just.
Would that be a huge big spoiler?
I don't know. I mean, he's a pretty
it would
badass
for
guy,
me.
but he's a pretty bad. I will say this. I saw a cutscene that no one's gonna see until it's released. But in that cutscene, I fell in love with Bayek because I don't know. It's what he's doing in the cutscene, and then there's Cleopatra there. His wife is there. It's kind of like their first encounter, but it was so funny, and it just made me just fall in love with that character. Like just right at that second, I was like, holy crap, what they're doing with this guy is more than just him being there to tell this story. You know, you're actually going to, you know, you're going to feel something for him. So it's pretty cool.
That's always good to hear.
Well, so with Origins, I guess, like, do you have some, like, obviously, I don't want to, like, ask, oh, what's your, like, review? What would you review it as? Like, you haven't played the full game, obviously, but, like, from what you've played so far, you obviously love the game.
Mm-hmm.
What are your kind of overall thoughts on, for people that, I don't know, are skeptical or worried about how the game's going to turn out, or if, you know, a bit disenfranchised with how Assassin's Creed's been going? What would you tell those sorts of people after playing 12 hours of Assassin's Creed Origins?
Well, I would tell them that it's time to man up and realize that you don't have to buy a game the moment it comes out. You don't have to wait in line at 12 o'clock. You don't have to pre-order. The problem with video games today is that everybody pre-orders and then they get disappointed because they didn't get what they thought they were going to get. So if you do a little bit of research and you don't watch the stupid journalist reviews, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way to them. It's just that, you know, they're really good at writing. They're really good at that kind of stuff, but they're not there to show you, like, who the modern person is. You know what I mean? If anything, watch a Let's Play or watch somebody going through it that generally is going to show you the things that you're going to do in the game, not the things that people are think that you're going to do, because no one knows better. I mean, I'm just like you guys. You know, I'm a fan. I get skeptical of things. I want to see this. I want to see that. I'm upset about this, upset about that. And for people out there that are still on the fence, all I got to say is you don't have to get it the first day. Wait a week. You know, wait until you see what all the reviews are saying. Wait till you see a little bit of gameplay, watch a little bit of it, you know, from whoever your favorite guy is or whatever, or girl, and just kind of, but try to watch from a perspective from someone who plays similar to what you do, right? If you're the kind of person that loves to just walk into the middle of an area and then just start fighting everyone, then follow that guy and then watch someone do that. Because if I go and I do this whole thing stealthy and I show no combat, and then someone sees that, and then when they go in and they try to do it stealthy and they fail, and then all of a sudden they're doing all this combat, but then they didn't prepare themselves for how difficult the combat really is, because it is very, very difficult. You're going to die a lot of times, and it's not going to be something that it's going to be frustrating a little bit sometimes, because the combat is something that is you need to build upon each step, each layer. Every weapon that you upgrade and get is going to further help your cause. All the stats and all the perks and all that stuff pertain to how well you use weapons and how well you can use certain abilities. So if you're the kind of person that doesn't want to get into any of that, then you're going to have a horrible time. It's not going to be your game, because you're just going to sit there and you're going to die every 5 seconds. You're going to wonder, this is not Assassin's Creed, where I could just sit back and wait for one guy to hit me. I can counter him and bam, I'm on to the next section. That's not how it is anymore. You know, this is 5, 6 guys coming at you. You might have 3 people from horseback, you know, shooting an arrow in your face, while you've got 2 other people that are hitting you with swords, and you're like, how in the hell did my health get down in 2 seconds? Well, that's because you forgot to put your shield up, so therefore the guys on the horse who are you know, in front of you are hitting you in the face with the damn arrow, and you're getting your life taken away. But the other cool thing is, if you put that sword, or if you put that shield out and you keep those guys in front of you, you're automatically going to block every shield or every arrow that comes at you with that shield. So it becomes using the things that you have to your advantage, so that you can enjoy the game more. So don't go in there thinking that it's going to be the old Assassin's Creed. You got to get that out of your head. The feeling of that old system is still there, right? When you do your first leap of faith and all that stuff, yes, it's Assassin's Creed. You know, when you start seeing the history and the hidden blade and all that stuff, yes, it's Assassin's Creed, but it has a lot more different and unique things that it's going to show you that you might not be used to. So you got to be a little bit, just slightly more patient with it, and just don't, you know, it's going to take a little bit longer to get into, and hopefully that is going to put more respect into people's eyes, because I felt the same way when I first picked it up. I was pissed that I couldn't just walk up to anybody and assassinate them, you know, like you could before. I was freaking pissed. I was like, oh my God, there's a guard in front of me. This guy looks like a douche, but because he's level 10 and I'm a level 3, I can't assassinate him, you know, unless you've upgraded your, unless you've went around, done some crafting, and upgraded your hidden blade. You can eventually get to the point where you can take out anyone in the game no matter what level you are, but it's going to take you a lot of upgrading and crafting and all that stuff to get your blade up there. So you're going to get out of the game what you put into it, as opposed to before, where you pretty much could just get right through the main story of Assassin's Creed without too much, unless you wanted to go for 100%. Then it was a challenge.
So, do you reckon, in saying all this, that there's definitely going to be fans out there, for sure? And I mean, I'm pretty sure, you know, without even playing it myself, it's fair to say that there's going to be fans that of the franchise for a long time that aren't going to like this game.
Yeah, and I've seen them all on all my videos, and even on, you know, on James' videos and stuff like that, where they're just like, you know, the combat looks stupid. This isn't Assassin's Creed. And, you know, I see it all the time, and I want to just say you're stupid, you know, but
You're a stupid face.
You're stupid. It's just not going to be for everybody. The thing is, you know, just because someone else is saying something stupid doesn't mean you have to say it's stupid, you know? Come up with your own opinion. Watch video gameplay of it. Don't watch someone who sucks at combat and think the combat is stupid, because it takes skill in the combat now. It's not like it was before. It's not just a, oh my gosh, hold the high profile button and hit X when you're ready, you know? It's not that anymore. Everything is hit-based, location-based, and you got to lock on too, man. I found that very difficult. The second time, or the second event that I went to, I couldn't. They moved the lock on button for me, and I was too busy running around the environment trying to do like find all hidden tombs and all that kind of stuff. But when I got into the combat, I didn't take the time to like lock on, because I didn't know what button it was, and I wasn't like literally thinking, how do I lock on? I just forgot about it. And I was wondering why every single time I'd be hitting people, you know, I would be hitting the side of them. I wouldn't be right on them, you know, because I wasn't locking on. You're going to notice that locking on is very, very important. It's going to help keep your attention on the enemies that are present and that are coming right at you, as opposed to you just, because if in this game you can just swing, and if someone's in the area of where you're swinging, you're going to do some type of damage to them. It's not like I'm going to swing, and if someone's in the area, then I'm going to magnetize myself to where they are. In the old games, that's how it was, right? So now it's like, no matter what you do, you can swing anywhere you want, and if someone decides that I'm going to be an idiot and step in front of you, they're going to get hit. So it works both ways. I mean, people's going to hate the combat, and then there's going to be people that will actually get into it and dig it and realize that it's a lot more. It adds longevity to the game. Whereas I can guarantee you, I mean, there's a few videos I've seen out there of people just like in the old Assassin's Creed games, just like burying up the bodies, you know, just sitting there, standing still, and just doing like chain kills and stuff like that. You know, you're not gonna. That's no more. I mean, you'll be dead within a minute if you try to do that, unless you've got the combat mastered. So it's going to be a little bit more frustrating for people, but I'm hoping this will make gamers grow up and realize that games shouldn't be able to walk all over games. You know, this is the first time in a video game, or not a video game, but this is the first time in an Assassin's Creed game, except for Chronicles China. This is the first time that there's going to be difficulty modes. So things are going to be different. You know, this is not your old Assassin's Creed. This is something different, and you're going to get out of it what you put in.
I feel like we're kind of taking a bit of a change with video games in general, right, with difficulties. I felt like when I started playing video games as a kid, games are hard as shit. Like, you know, it was actually challenging. Then
well, they had to do that because games back then were like a lot shorter, right? So they needed to ramp up the challenge and the difficulty so that it would extend the longevity of the game, you know. But nowadays, gameplay can be very, very long, as opposed to what it was before. And then, you know, there's so much more stuff to do now that you can just kind of get lost in everything.
But as well, I feel like we're going back to it, right? Like with the probably 360 PS3 generation, games are just long and easy. Most games I found, at least I was playing. But now we're starting to kind of mix them together, right? You've like Horizon Zero Dawn was challenging, like a Destiny has its challenges, but they also have its easy stuff. It's not all hard, but you know, there are boss fights, right? Like they're trying to bring in some sort of challenge, or at least you have to think about things before you go into it, and that's what it looks like. You know, Origins is doing, at least in the sense of, you know, you can't just, as you said, do what you're used to. You've got to really think about it. You've got to
Exactly.
prepare.
You don't like you'll have a mission, and let's say if I go up and I've got all these missions around me, but I'm a level 12, but this mission specifically says it's recommended that I be a level 18 to do this mission. I can do it. I can go in there and do the mission. There's no restrictions on what missions you can do. You can literally go and do whatever mission that you see. Okay? But you will die over and over and over. And I do this. I'm showing something off where that I take on a mission that is like 6-7 levels above me, and I show just how difficult it is to even remotely kill one person. And you know, like when you try to stealth assassinate someone, you do a little bit of damage because your hidden blade only deals so much damage, but it's not enough damage to kill them outright. So it takes a small portion, and it's so challenging. I mean, it took me forever just to beat this one mission that was 6 levels higher than me. Forever. I died so many times because I wanted to see if you could do it, if you could beat it. And yes, you can, because there's tricks and there's different things that you can do. You can separate the enemies one-on-one, baiting them and things like that. But there's also sleep darts that you can knock enemies out, and then you can get easy assassinations on, because when an enemy's asleep, it doesn't matter what their hit points are. So there's other ways that you can do it, but you're not always going to be able to have max max poison and max sleep darts and stuff like that, because it's all about crafting and having that materials. So it makes you go out, find this stuff, upgrade your character. And if you're going out to find these sleep darts to get the crafting stuff you need to get your hidden blade up, you're automatically going out and leveling your guy up. So you're doing what the game kind of wants you to do, but at the same time, you're doing what you want to do, right? You're going around and you're trying to be better without realizing that what you're doing is going to make you better in every mission that you do.
It's funny because I'm watching like your gameplay videos of Origins like while we've been talking, and I'm literally watching that mission you're talking about right now, like the high level mission, and you spent the last, I don't know, 90 seconds trying to kill one guard.
It's like, crazy. And then I do that again in this next video stuff that's coming up, but I take it to the 10th degree, and I really, really go deep into just how ridiculously tough this game is going to be. If you will never, ever, ever, ever see a walkthrough of someone on YouTube that will never upgrade their character and beat the game, because it's impossible. You're not going to be able to do it, because I don't know if you saw the video that IGN did when Ash came in and he showed a level 1 Bayek against like level, whatever, the highest level, guys. Now what happens is when a character that you're going up against is completely out of your league and would be impossible to kill, you're going to see like a skull above his head as opposed to a number. So normally you see a number, right? And that number will change colors depending on how higher he is than you. Okay? If his number is in the red or yellow, that's saying that, well, he's almost out of your league. You might not want to tackle this guy, until you've upgraded your character a little bit more or whatever. But if you see a skull above his head, it's like you'll do 1 damage on him. 1. And there's like over 1,000 hits that you need in order to be able to beat him. And so it would be impossible. But again, there are ways to get around certain things. You just, you have to want to find it. It's and that's what I loved about it. That's why I had so much fun of trying to, do as many things as I can, because I'm not like those other guys that just want to get the footage out there as quickly as possible and don't really care what I'm doing. I actually care about this series, and I want people to see it in a light that that lets them know their baby is growing up, but they're changing for the good. They're just moving on with the times. That you don't always have to stay still. Sometimes you got to reinvent and do other stuff.
The combat's I've felt's never ever been, perfect or even like great. So to me, I don't think there's any issue at all for completely revamping the combat. You know what I mean? Like, there's no loss here. I don't think.
No,
Oh
I
no,
don't
I'm
think
gonna
either.
miss. Yeah, I'm gonna miss this one. I'm like, well, it was never that great anyway. It was.
Well, I thought it was
you know,
super badass. The one thing I
It's
enjoyed.
badass, but it wasn't like, you know what I mean? It wasn't like riveting or anything. It was.
Yeah,
Looked
it was
cool,
just
but
It was
you
just
could
sort
get
of
really,
there, yeah.
really cool chain kills, and it was really cool to look at and fun. But there wasn't really any skill involved. But it was just fun to watch. You felt like I'm an assassin, I'm a badass, I'm gonna kill everybody. But guess what? Bayek is not an assassin. Okay, he's a Magi. He's not an assassin yet. So this is completely different. It's like when you come to the source of the Brotherhood, and you're going to realize that everything that you've played up to this point has been generations upon generations upon generations taught of training, of becoming an assassin, becoming the Brotherhood, and just being that badass where not a single person can F with you, right? Well, now you're back in the day when it's not like that, where a single person is a boss, can be a boss if you don't play him correctly. And that is, I think, where is either going to make or break this game. It's either the people are going to really, really feel something for that, but I know not a lot of people get that deep into it, and that's unfortunate. But I do, and I think that's what makes it for me. Like I said, I was so pissed at first when I thought, oh my gosh, I can't assassinate this guy, or where's that cool execution kill after every single enemy? That's gone. You're still going to get execution kills, but it's not going to be as frequent because you're not going to get an execution kill when there's 6 other guys that are continually hitting you. They're not going to say, well, damn, man, look at him. He just chopped off that guy's head. Let's wait till the head hits the floor. Oh, that's great. And then, rinse and repeat. It's like, oh my gosh, you're killing one guy and then you're moving right on to the next one because you ain't got time to breathe.
Yeah, wow. Well, I mean, this is the first time in a long time I've been excited about Assassin's Creed. Been a fan of the franchise for so long. I remember, when James and I were doing this podcast before Syndicate, both of us were like exhausted talking about it. We didn't even want to discuss it, right? Like, James, you remember what it was like.
It was really depressing that year. It was like, we'd had them every year, and it was like, and it wasn't even like we'd had a good one every year. It's like it got to the point where they were all just
You
bad.
had one every year, but then one year you had 2 of them, and you were just like, oh my gosh, this is great, but at the same time, it's like you said, it's just too overwhelming. Too much of a good thing can become a negative.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like, I mean, with Unity and Rogue, it's like Rogue was, I mean, it's fine. Unity was just abysmal. And then it was like the next year, it's like, and we're back at it again with Syndicate. And it's like, it just got to the point where we were just burned out with Assassin's Creed. So that notice of having, a year's break was just fucking great last year.
Yeah, and see, that's the funny thing. A lot of people hark so bad on Unity, but I enjoyed the F out of it. I did not get as many bugs as everyone else got. I saw videos on YouTube, of just eye sockets running around and stuff like that. But I didn't get. I mean, obviously, I came across some of the glitches where like someone would all of a sudden climb up on something, out of nowhere or something like that. But I look at video games different than everybody else does, right? Because I've met developers, I've seen how video games are made, and I've seen the process, I've seen the time. So when I see glitches left and right and I see all these bugs or something, I don't look at it like I just get turned off by it, right? Obviously, I point it out and I say, this is something they should have fixed before release or whatever. But I also know that, oh my gosh, when you fix one bug, it creates 20 more bugs. And sometimes there are just some things, when you try to be too ambitious, when you try to get 1,000 people in one little area like Unity did, you get hundreds of people just sitting in there moving around, it's going to create so many problems. It's going to boggle down the machine. I think for Unity, they were just a little bit too ambitious because it was their first outing, Ubisoft's complete first outing in the so-called next generation of gaming. And they just didn't realize that the more you add sometimes, the more bugs and that kind of stuff that you're going to get. And I always try to tell my viewers, hey, you know what? You're going to see bugs. You're going to see this. It's going to piss you off. But you have to come to an understanding that this is not something that just happened. It's not like this game was just made yesterday. Some games take 5-6 years. Look at Star Citizen. They've been going since 2012 and they're still in alpha, right? I mean, it takes so long to make these games. And I always try to come from a different type of perspective as opposed to just trashing a game. I'm always like, well, let me look at the positives, and then we'll look at the negatives. And again, if it's something that you think you're going to enjoy and you can get past it, some people may lose out on an experience that they could enjoy just because of a few bugs or something. And I try not to do that for myself, except for Aliens Colonial Marines. That game sucks. Go to hell.
Yeah, I mean, I think
I was going to say you're a far nicer guy than us.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think with Unity, I think the issue is, like you said with Star Citizen, is they're still in alpha, like, since 2012, and it's been, like, ages. I think the issue with Unity is they needed longer in development. That's the thing. The game was released too quick, and obviously it's a huge company. There's so many things like happening, and obviously the game. Like I'm sure if the developers would like they had a choice, can we release the game or can we keep developing the game? They'd probably keep going, but
developers would definitely say let's keep going
for sure. Yeah,
but the publisher.
I don't blame the developers.
Yeah, there's lots of things.
A publicly traded company like Ubisoft. There's Greg that develops the textures on a brick. It's not his fault that Unity's not getting delayed when it should be delayed.
Exactly, but that's what sucks because so many people blame developers for mistakes, but they don't understand that it's not necessarily their fault. Do you really think a developer wants to put out something that makes them individually look like a piece of shit? No, it's just a company, and it's not just with Ubisoft. It's with everybody. It's with EA, with Battlefront. I enjoyed the F out of Battlefront, but it just didn't have any content at all because EA was like, "Damn, Star Wars, Episode 7's coming out. We have to get the game out." And I think that's bullshit. It's like, wait till the game is ready. That is why Naughty Dog, every fucking thing that they do is a masterpiece.
Spectacular.
Yeah.
Because because the company that they work for, the PlayStation or whatever, they knows that what they're going to give them is gold. So they're like, all right, when it's ready, it's ready. Rockstar, it's going to be gold. When it's ready, it's ready. It's going to be delayed multiple times. And I look at that as like they're doing the right thing. That's what I want to see. I want to see a delay in a game. I mean, obviously inside I cry a little every time it's delayed, but
of course
it makes me know that, oh my gosh, they just squashed so many more bugs and they just made it even more, potentially even better. And that's why I love Naughty Dog games, because they always take their time and they give you the best quality that you're going to get, and the story is always going to be good and stuff like that. Now, I wish Ubisoft did that, but when you're a big publicly traded company and all that kind of stuff, you gotta have so many games coming out at the end of the year when the rush is coming, or the investors are going to look bad upon you, because that's what Ubisoft as a company cares about, is their investors. The developers, man, they care about the fans of the game that they're playing. So that's why I really felt like when I talked with Ash, and he's really such a good guy, that when I was talking to him about how the fact that they've stretched out, the development cycle for this specific one, because, they were telling, Ubisoft, hey, give us time, let us get all of the things that you've seen in the previous ones. Let's nip it in the bud, and let's make a game that is going to look good for you and is going to be hopefully very profitable as well. So it's going to be a win for everybody. And I really feel this can be a win for Ubisoft. And then hopefully they'll do that in the future, and they'll keep that same kind of aspect going.
Yeah, it's a long-term investment, right? You've got to tell Ubisoft, because they've been very short-sighted, for the short-term payoffs, rather than if you delay it and do it once every 2 years and you make an amazing game, it's going to sell more copies because the reputation goes up. If it was at the point where Syndicate's selling half of what the previous game sold. You know what I mean? And that's losing them a lot of money. And they have no choice after Syndicate but to go, oh, okay, yeah, we have to
We have
have
things
to
like the
delay.
Division too, right? Everyone was so excited for the Division, but it was so bug related and had so many problems at launch and stuff like that. And then what I've seen Ubisoft do as of late is sometimes when a game is not being like met to their standards of sales, right? That they'll just kind of move on to the next thing. That they won't put as much love into fixing some of those issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's something that they can improve on, and if they do that, then because I love Ubisoft. I mean, the games they put out are amazing. Like the story-wise, the gameplay-wise, they're really, really great. If they just gave it just a little bit more time, Ubisoft, in my opinion, would be up, completely up there with Rockstar and Naughty Dog when it comes to their games. But they got to give it more time, and I'm hoping that this Assassin's Creed is going to show them that, and they're going to, start realizing that too. That you don't always. Okay, first of all, you got For Honor came out at the beginning of the year. Then Rainbow Six is still doing great. Ghost Recon came out. There was like a bunch of games that came out for Ubisoft in the beginning of the year, and they owned the first half of the year. Like, what was it? I think Ghost Recon was the #1 selling game for like the first. I think it's still the
number 2.
What's that?
And For Honor was number 2 in the first.
Yeah,
quarter
exactly.
of
They had like
year.
the top 2 selling games of the year. But there's been a lot of criticism about them just not being, completely polished and stuff, especially For Honor with having a lot of problems and stuff like that. They have to realize that the early sales are amazing and great, but what you want is longevity, right? That's
Correct.
what you want.
Correct.
You want a year from now, people to still be playing your game, because then that says to people that this is a company that cares about the gamers and not just the bottom line. So I feel like Assassin's Creed is a game that we're all going to be able to sit and play, and we're going to be playing for the next year, because there's going to be so much to see.
The issue is that going on with Ubisoft as well, though, is they're, like we've talked about, a publicly traded company, but they're also dealing with an impending hostile takeover at all times by Vivendi. So they can't have, investment meeting that doesn't have good sales ever, because they only need one of those, and all of a sudden, ownership changes hands. You know what I'm saying? They have to always have these sales. So that's a big issue with them. That's why they do have such short-sightedness with short-term sales. I think this Assassin's Creed hopefully will just show them a bit different, and show the investors, more than anything, show the investors what longevity is. Because they're the people that need to be convinced at all times, and know that, sometimes there's going to be a quarterly investment meeting that's not going to be star-spangled awesome, but you can say, but by the next investors meeting, or the one after that, we're going to have this and this and that, but you've got to give it time. Because now, they need numbers every single meeting, or else an investor will go, we're going to side with, Vivendi on their, ideal ownership stake.
I have a strong feeling that Assassin's Creed is not going to sell big in the beginning, but because a lot of people are skeptical of Assassin's Creed. A lot of people are skeptical or whatnot. But once people see it and people see what it's doing, that it's going to really, really become super popular, like I'd say a few months after, as opposed to like right at the start. You're going to get your diehard fans that are going to get it from the start, and things like that, obviously. But I think it's going to pick up afterwards, because what they're doing with the new gameplay mode that's coming out at the beginning of next year, which is going to be huge when it comes to the educational market, which I think is such a great idea. I mean, if I had that back when I was in school, if I could bring in a video game, to learn about history and stuff like that, I mean, how cool would that have been, Unfortunately, they didn't even have cell phones back when I was in school, so obviously they couldn't have a game.
Yeah.
But I mean,
do you want to talk about that now? James? If you, because I don't actually know that well. James, do you want to explain this discovery mode
Discovery tour? Yeah, they announced it. It was yesterday. and essentially, it's the way I look at it, and I think the way everyone's been looking at it is the database we love from Assassin's Creed has now been taken up to the next level, adding so much interactivity and knowledge that you can get now through this tour that they're going to be releasing early on next year, so that you can learn all about the Ptolemaic period of Egypt. And I think it's awesome. Like, I would have loved something like this back in the day with with Assassin's Creed 2, because I was super into the Renaissance. I was I'd going through the database, be like searching it up on Google, like finding out as much as I could, because I was super into the history. So this is just awesome for like long-time fans, for history fans, for, you know, educational purposes, and for newcomers. Like, it's just great.
Yeah, and what they're doing with it is they're making it to where, like, there's no combat, there's no, like, limitations on where you can go in the world. Everywhere you go in the world is going to be some type of tour that you're going to be able to do. And there's going to be real historians, Egyptologists, and all that stuff teaching you about this stuff. This is not the developers teaching you about it. This is actual people that do this for a living teaching you about it. But Ubisoft has put this together into the game, and again, for people like me, who's that's the biggest thing that drew me to Assassin's Creed in the first place, was the history section, was going back to Jerusalem, you know, going back to the Crusades and all that kind of stuff. That's what drew me in to the game, and then the stealth gameplay and the whole thing that you're an assassin, that obviously, you know, kept me. But the history, you know, learning, like you said, learning about the history in Italy and all that stuff, and I always enjoyed. One of the things I always think about when I remember playing Assassin's Creed 2 was when you would go through the people that you would see, like doctors, or you know, like the small things, right, that a normal game wouldn't say anything about, and then you're getting all this text about it, or maybe sometimes Sean will even have an audio thing about it, or maybe even a video, you know. I just thought that was so cool. I was like, holy crap, like I've learned more about Italy in that time period playing a game than I did in all of high school. And where else are you going to say that?
True. That's
you
so
know?
true.
Where else are you going to say that? That shows me that this is not only a company that cares about the product they're doing, but they also want to and here's the thing. The reason I think this adds so much longevity to all the Assassin's Creed games is because now it not only becomes a game in a time period that you just move from one time period or another, they really can really make each time period set itself apart from the next, right? If this pulls itself off the way that we all hope it does, we've learned all this about Egypt, and now it's like, oh my gosh, where can they go? Where's a place? Oh, I'd love them to go back to Renaissance, but maybe they'll go to feudal Japan, and we'll get to learn about all of that stuff, you know. And the possibilities in your mind just are like, holy crap! You can really get a chance to feel like you're there, you're learning about it. I feel like this mode is going to bring a lot more doctors and historians than any other type of educational way.
That's such a cool way to do it, of a new revamp of the database, because I feel like not enough people understood what the database was, right? Like, and really got into it. It was really for the hardcore fans. This is kind of a way to, you know, kind of yell at people like, we're here, watch this shit. Like, it's awesome, you know, and really get people to explore.
What also shows you how that they're really trying to make the history match up. Like, obviously in Assassin's Creed, they can take some liberties and say, well, this person died around this period. He was, you know, he got killed, but we don't necessarily know how he got killed. And then the Assassin's Creed takes that as, well, you know, our guy killed him or something like that. They try to spin it and put it in there. But what they're doing with this Discovery Tour is, I mean, they're really making it as authentic as possible, right? But still leaving the same Assassin's Creed elements in, so you can make up your own kind of history in the regards of that stuff. But when it comes to, you know, the things that they showed one thing in the actual like demo that we saw of it, and it was just the mummification demo or whatever, the mummifying thing. And you guys saw a picture of that, right? You saw like I think there was a picture that they put up of that, but we actually saw the video, or we saw someone playing it and how it was going through, and how there was a narrator over it, and how you can walk around all of the doctors, you know, doing the mummifying and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, there's so many different of them that you can do. I mean, it was so expansive, and they're not even they're not even done with it yet. It obviously doesn't come out until next year, but it's a completely new game mode, which I think is going to add so much more to it. It's like playing a brand new game, except, you know, I'm learning. You know, how dare a game teach me? You know, how dare you? I'm trying to kill people, not learn.
But yeah, it does sound great. That's one of the things I loved about all the old Assassin's Creed games. So I'm happy they're doing this, and it's going to be super interesting. And one other thing that I thought as well is, you know, due to this, them adding things in later on, it seems like they're trying to continue the longevity of Origins by, you know, obviously next year we're getting the Discovery Tour, and then at some point next year we'll probably get an expansion as well to Bayek's story in some way, most likely like they do with every other Assassin's Creed game. So
he's a character I would love to see more of than just the first game. You know what I mean? Like a sequel or something similar to that. But at the same time, I also want to see other time periods, you know.
But would you not want to see, for example, like in this time period, there's a lot of places to go, similar to, you know, we spent a lot of time in the 1800s in the last few games. You could have just as easily gone to those locations with the same character, but they didn't. And I feel like maybe it wasn't a mistake, because I just don't think that was the right time or right characters. I think maybe Arno was at some point. He could have easily gone to London. But I feel like you got a character now in a new time period that you've got a lot of places you can go history-wise. Why not go to ancient Rome? Why not go to ancient Greece now from here with Bayek?
And you could have, like, say, exactly, you could have Bayek meet up with, you know, the assassin that's in Rome or something like that, and have it tie into it, you know? You can have that kind of thing instead of making necessarily a complete sequel with just Bayek, but playing multiple assassins, you know?
Exactly right. Well, just in the sense of Bayek, I mean, this is the origin of the Assassin Order as we know it, right? So, like, it makes sense him, you know, expanding the Order, or at least, you know, traveling to learn more himself and expand his own mind, and that leads to the growth in this Order. Like, from right at the get-go of this game being announced, even before it, I just don't see why not at a time period like this. You wouldn't take advantage of, one, just having a good character and doing what you did with Ezio. You know, the franchise needs a new face. Ezio hasn't been around for 6 years and 6 games, yet he's still the face of Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, and everyone still wants him, you know?
Like, casual fans, like most of my friends that played Assassin's Creed when I started playing it, they literally haven't played since Ezio. They tried 3 and they didn't like it, and they haven't played since. You know, and all my friends just go, you know, whenever I talk to them about it, they're like, "Oh, how good were those Ezio games?" I'm like, "Yep, they were, but have you played any of the others?" And they're like, "No." I'm like, "Okay, well."
I thought Syndicate improved a lot from Unity, with a lot of things. I really liked the line launcher. I really enjoyed that.
Really? Oh God.
Yeah, because it made sense. It made sense, right? Back in Ezio's day, all the buildings. No, I know nothing makes sense in that concept. But hear me out here. It made sense in the way that all of the games in Italy, right? All of the games in Jerusalem, the games before that we got to that, we're very close together, right? We're very jump from one rooftop to the next. But when you got into the modern era, okay, when you got into London in the 1800s, or, you know, France in the late 1700s, everything became industrial and spread out, right? So you no longer
that's the point of it,
from one building to another. So that's why they made the line launcher, which I thought, well, that's so cool. So instead of making every building so close to each other that it's unrealistic that you can jump from one building to another easily, they made up some stupid, ridiculous thing that allow you to go from one to the next. I thought that was pretty cool, that they respect the series enough to not, like, to make sure that the most important thing was the time period and the locations were handled correctly, that they were spread apart like they're supposed to be, because this is the new modern age. That's how I look at it. Even though it was ridiculous to have a hook blade, or even though it was ridiculous to have a line launcher, I felt like why they did it was for a good reason, is to make the gameplay fun and not ruin how modern the setting was.
But we knew that, like this. James and I talked about this before the game was out, and I stand by it after the game came out. How ridiculous, like you said, how ridiculous rope launcher is. But if you're making a game that's Assassin's Creed, where you're like, well, we can't scale buildings because historically they're too far away, so let's make a rope launcher. No, the answer isn't make a rope launcher. The answer is don't make a game in Victorian London in 1880s. You know, like if you can't make a good quality game, which I don't think Syndicate was overall. I mean, I thought it wasn't glitchy. I don't think it was glitchy. I thought the characters were fun. I mean, I think it's like if you had a Fable game and meet Assassin's Creed, like it was a parody of Assassin's Creed. It didn't take itself seriously, which maybe it's fine for some people. It wasn't my cup of tea. I didn't hate the characters. I didn't hate the storyline either. I didn't even hate the setting while playing it. For what it was, I thought it was fine, but I just don't think a setting where you need a rope launcher to make it work is a correct setting for Assassin's Creed.
I think Assassin's
what they're
Creed
doing
works,
now.
it all works best when it's in the pass.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, they went way too far forward with Syndicate. I mean, even with Unity, I was like, okay, this is pushing it a little bit. And then with the Syndicate, they jumped ahead like another 90, 100 years. I think that's
when they started caring more about like how beautiful a city could look and how to scale they could build it. They started caring too much about the scale of a city. I think you don't need that. Like in Assassin's Creed Origins, I mean, I've been to the big cities and I've been to the small cities. And the small cities, you can go from rooftop to rooftop. The big cities, sometimes you can go from rooftop to rooftop, but the cities are not made at all like giant cities are today. So everything just feels better. Everything is climbable. There's like nothing that you can't climb anymore. If there's like a small, tiny thing for you to put your finger on, you'll be able to climb it. Sometimes it looks ridiculous when you're climbing a mountain rock and you're doing it like the best mountain climber in the world. But I like how they're making it to where everything is climbable, as opposed to like this. There has to be an indentation, a clear indentation here. Some things I grabbed a hold of that I wouldn't even think that I could grab a hold of. But once I saw it, I was like, well, yeah, I guess you could, if you're trained in that or whatnot.
Okay.
So I enjoyed the setting of going back from where we were. I felt like we were getting too modern. And then that's what pissed me off too with number 3 was the fact that, you're leading up 1, 2, Brotherhood, Revelations, and then 3, and it's all about Desmond, and Desmond's all, and you're like, oh my God, maybe we're finally going to get to see a modern day Assassin's Creed where you're going to be going around New York City or something like that. And essentially, then they're going to be like, well, what we're going to do for the modern day, we're going to invent this brand new thing where you're going to shoot webs out of your hand, and we're going to call you Spider Assassin, and or something like that. I was like, how are they going to pull modern day off? How are you going to jump across from buildings, and feel like an assassin? So I felt like what they're doing now of going back to the beginning of the Brotherhood in general. I feel like Egypt is such a perfect setting, man. It's so perfect. I mean, the first time I climbed those pyramids, I was just like, I teared up, man. It was like, wow. And then just sat on top of that pyramid and just looked at the beautiful lighting, what do you call it? The draw distance, right? Was so far. I mean, I could see, places that I couldn't even, that were way, way over there that I couldn't even get to yet, or at least in the demos that we played. But you could see it, and it was all there, and you could see people moving around, and it was so beautiful, and I love it.
Every time I see the open world, it just looks incredible, and seeing people like climb pyramids or something, I'm like, oh, jeez.
So much more color than the previous games too.
Yeah, it looks.
I don't know if you've noticed that, but like Syndicate had in my opinion, had a very pale, the palette was very darker. Wasn't as colorful, and now I feel like it was so, I don't know, I was amazed, and I had a big chuckle just the first time when I went through this field of corn, and then I see Bayek's hand go up, as he's brushing the corn like Gladiator. And I was like,
God.
oh my God, that is amazing. And I stood
That
there and I
is.
just slowly moved my character, just slowly pressed him forward while I faced the camera to his face. And I was just like, yep, I'm a badass. Brushing corn. That's
It's
right.
those little things, right?
That's something that I think they've been doing a lot of in
Origins.
Origins. Like with there's another thing when if you jump from a high point, if Bike will limp for a little bit after
Yes, he
you've
will.
landed, which is something that I never expect from an Assassin's Creed game. It seems like they're really sort of trying to nail those little things that matter, like
Yeah.
contextual things in the
And another
environment.
thing you guys haven't seen, which I can say is, so you guys know that there's obviously you can speed up daytime to night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, the way that it works is depending on where you are, it's going to have different animations. It's going to have a different way of doing it. So if you're out in the world and then you, as of right now, hold down the back button, it'll go up and it'll fast forward about 12 hours. There's no like specific time you can set. It'll fast forward about 12 hours. And you just watch everyone around the world, because you can still see the world. Everyone around the world just kind of moves super fast, like boats moving fast. You see everything is still being moved in the world. So it really is speeding up time as opposed to just kind of all of a sudden bringing you to the nighttime. So you're actually seeing people run their patterns, run their work, going home, going to go eat, going to go do different things. You see all of that in the span of a 12-hour period when you fast forward. But if you are underneath something, like if your character himself is like sitting under something where the camera can't pan out, right? Because it would glitch or something like that, or it would have to, go through the ceiling or something. What it does is it centers around Bayek meditating, and he gets into his meditative state, and he like sits there Indian style, and you just watch him like be in complete peace. And I just thought that was really cool, how there was like a different way of seeing. You don't see that meditation when you're out in the world. You see it when you're meditating inside somewhere or under a canopy or something like that. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
This is what I've been talking about. James, you and I have talked about this for years now, right? Those little things.
Little things.
Separate
little things are important.
A great game or a good game from a great game, or a great game from an amazing legendary game. It's the smallest little details in the characters and the gameplay. It's what made, to me, Horizon Zero Dawn one of the greatest games, if not the best game of this era of video games. Same with Uncharted 4. That's what I expect from AAA
and it's also
games.
just standing there, just like literally standing there, leaving your character for a few seconds. Obviously, Sinu's going to come and sit on your hand, and you're going to move around with her, and it was really cool. You like kind of got a sense of the relationship that they have when you just leave the game alone and let everything just kind of happen. It felt really unique and cool. And I'll answer a question that a lot of people have asked me on my channel. And maybe you guys know about this, but a lot of people have asked me, because they care about the underwater. They like, can you fight underwater? Can you do all that stuff underwater? Yes. You have full, except for you can't do an arrow. You can't.
Of course.
What?
Yes,
That's bullshit.
yes. So you're gonna go up against enemies that are underwater. You're gonna go up against the animals and things like that are chasing you underwater and all that stuff. And yes, you can go up against them and fight enemies underwater. So
yeah, I remember it was after the Ubisoft E3 press conference when they demoed it live for about half an hour. I remember being amazed by everything, and then he went into the water, he like killed a hippo, and then like the blood like came out of the animal and like went into the water, and then you saw all these predator animals in the water come like swarm to the blood, and I was like, this game, man,
and there are a lot
so
of
good.
animals. A lot of animals, way more than what you've seen.
Oh, I'm so excited.
So each region is like, what they've done is they've taken a lot of things from Far Cry and put it into the game. So you know how Far Cry always had your specific regions of, this is where you're going to find this specific animal, and this is, things like that. They've done a lot of that, so you're going to be able to go to specific areas, obviously, to craft the items that you need. One of the coolest things that I saw was the fact that you can pin crafting things to your map. So like if let's say I only wanted to focus on upgrading my hidden blade, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's all I wanted to focus on was upgrading my hidden blade. Well, there's 2 specific things you need to upgrade your hidden blade. You can pin those so that everywhere you go, you see these 2 specific items that you need, and it shows the emblems of the items. It doesn't show you where the items are because that would be too easy, right? But it shows you the emblems. So when you go around and discover the world and see things and open up, and you send you to do your synchronization and all that stuff, and once the world opens up and all that, then you kind of get the area of where you need to go to get that specific item. I thought it was so cool, like if I wanted to sit and focus on one thing, that the game helps me to focus on that one thing instead of just, trying to remember it myself because it shows up on the actual thing.
Yeah, that's very similar to Horizon when you could, if you wanted to craft like a specific bow, you'd be like, I want this, so you like hold square or whatever, and it like creates a job. So then within the world, the game will just sort of be like, okay, so this is where this animal might be, and then you go there, you hunt it, find it, kill it, craft it. And yeah, it's pretty fucking cool.
Games are just getting really, there's only so much more we can do with graphics that I think gameplay is finally starting to really, really kind of catch up a little bit. They're really starting to come out with a lot more interesting things for people to be able to do. And I never felt at any time during my sessions that it wasn't fun for me to do specifically what I was doing. Even if I was purposely dying just to see, certain things, it felt fun to do it.
In terms of, I want to talk about story with you guys. So, in terms of the way the story works in Bayek as a character, what is it for you, Chris, that stands out with Bayek maybe compared to other characters, or this story compared to other stories in the franchise? From what you've played of the few missions I'm sure they've done in those sessions.
The biggest thing is, and I think the biggest connection you're going to get is, you're going to get the sense of this story is just not about Bayek. It's not just Bayek. This is Bayek and Anya's story. This is them together. You'll never, ever feel that this is just Bayek's story. This is literally them. Like, this is how the Brotherhood is being created, right? From scratch. So because of that, that's the biggest story stuff that I think is going to be out of this, because like as far as cutscenes and story missions, we've only done, in my 3 play stations, I've only done, I want to say maybe a total of 4 main missions. And those were honestly just small time missions, nothing that was like heavy story related, except for the first time that we met, Anya in the first, in the Memphis demo that we played. When we finally got to see her and talk with her and stuff like that. There was another cutscene that I mentioned that we saw that I can't really say any specific things about, but again, the characters really shine when they're both together. It seems like what they're trying to do is like I said, this is not necessarily Bayek's story. It's not necessarily his wife's story. This is their story and everything that evolves after that. So I feel like once you're going to be done playing this game, you're going to get a sense of this is how it all began. And I think that's going to help either help you to fall in love with the character, or if you're not going to like it, then it's just going to piss you off, But I feel like it's going to be, good, because I feel a very, very human, relatable connection with both of them so far, from what I've seen of both of them.
You'd think there'd have to be, something as polarizing as the Assassin Order through history and from what we've played of it. It makes a lot of sense. It doesn't make sense that it would just be one guy. You know what I mean? Like there has to be some sort of human connection to it because it's a very human-based, empathetic sort of order.
You're going to play multiple characters. You're not just going to play as Bayek. Now, I can't say anything more than that, but you're going to play multiple characters.
Tease. The dick tease.
And I also think, and I don't know for sure, but I also really think that we're going to get a chance to to go outside of Egypt. I mean, besides the modern day. So,
Interesting.
yeah.
Interesting.
And I don't know. I'm not saying this, and this is not no spoiler or anything. And
you just feel like it.
A feeling from what I've seen and from what I've played. It's just a feeling that I get that you're going to be able to do this, because I feel it kind of has to do this in a way. Like, I feel we're going to have to go a little
historical
bit outside.
figures.
Yeah. Especially with Caesar, right? You know?
Yeah, exactly. In a sense, would you think it's something like, whether it's through story or whether it's some sort of side thing, and this is what I thought about in this time period as well, a side activity that's similar to in Brotherhood, the Leonardo da Vinci War Machine missions, where you leave Rome and you go to these like pretty significant areas in Italy, right? And you have a big mission there, and it's quite an expansive area. You like play through. Some of it's a bit on rails, but it's a pretty expansive area they've built. So it would be something like if there's a major battle or something that goes on in history.
I think it'll definitely have to do with major battles and stuff like that. Everything that I was playing, just on all my sessions, just really felt like Ubisoft really does a great job at sometimes surprising people with extra little things. Because in pretty much every game, you've went outside of just one map area. You know what I mean? Like in Syndicate, you went to World War One, right? And then in Unity, you went all over. You went to like 1890s. Well, yeah. Instead of this, because Unity was in the 17s, you went to like future Paris, and then you went to other places like that. I feel like that's going to happen again. I feel like they're going to keep that going, and you're going to be able to see something outside of Egypt that's going to help bring a connection to maybe some other Brotherhood elements related to that.
That
just makes you excited. I mean, we're like, what is it? It's we're doing this on the 28th right now, and well, for you guys, it's the 29th. For some of you, I guess.
Yep.
Because we're all in different parts of the world here, and it's so close. It's so close that it's just like when I was playing this last session, there was a story element that that we could play, but there was also a story element that we could play, but we couldn't record. They didn't want anyone to see it. Okay. I refused to play it, and normally I will play it. In any other game, like if I go to an event or something like that and they say you can play but you can't record, I'll always play because I'm a gamer. Like even if I can't show you the gameplay, I want to play it so I can get my own perspective on it and talk about it. But this was the one time that I felt like I did not want to play it. I did not want to play it because if it was that important that they didn't want people to see it story-wise, I wanted to wait until I had the full experience in my hands, and that I could go through it and have that connection instead of waiting, to see some big story element and then having to wait a month before I can, talk about it. Or no, when it comes to story is so important to me that I wanted to. So I didn't do that specific mission. There was like one story mission that we could do, one big one, and then the second half we could play, but we couldn't record. I didn't want to do the second half just because I just felt like, I gotta wait. I gotta wait until it comes out so I can experience it all in one. Just
makes sense.
Yeah. I get that.
You don't want to totally spoil stuff for yourself. Did you see?
I'm a gamer just like you guys. I'm not just here to make videos and make money or whatever. Obviously, I do it for a living, yes, but I'm here because I love playing video games and I love showing off how awesome video games can be, and sometimes how ugly video games can be.
Do you think that I was going to ask this one. I had a question. Yeah. So with the side activities, there's a couple of side activities I'm interested in. Did you at all at any point touch the Juno events or anything like that?
In Assassin's Creed Origins?
Yes. Yeah, that's a yes. That's a song.
It's getting late, guys.
Oh, I've asked one of the NDA questions. Oh, okay.
We always do this every time. We can't help ourselves.
Don't know.
There is nothing we can say about anything that has to do with anything about anything.
About anything. About anything. Anything.
Other than the last
Yeah.
90 minutes of talking about everything, but
I will tell you
well,
this:
we
there
don't
is
know where the line
there-
is until we cross it. That's the thing.
Yeah, there's so many Easter eggs that you guys are going to see that are really fun. They've really went out of their way to really make you feel like, hey, we're only here because of what we've done in the past, because of all the other Assassin's Creed games. So you're going to get a lot of really, really cool Easter eggs and really, really cool things from past games and stuff like that, which I think a lot of people are going to really enjoy. You know, legacy outfits are going to be there and all that stuff, and they're trying to implement it in a way that's going to make sense, even though
Legacy
it really
missions.
doesn't.
Legacy missions.
Legacy
Let's have some legacy missions. Let's
do some legacy.
let's
missions.
do that. Yeah. Yeah.
Legacy.
You're- James is obsessed. I'm not sure if
Never
you know,
gonna
with
never gonna
legacy
give it
missions.
up, even when the game's out. Never gonna give it up. We just didn't
DLC.
find it. It's in there somewhere. We just didn't find it and never will. But it's in there. I promise you. No matter what.
It's like Kingdom
I'm
Hearts 3.
obsessed.
People are convinced that next year Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to come out, and I'm just like, you're all falling for the fake globalist conspiracy that the Democrats just want you to fall for. It's just you're going to fall for
Well,
it
a lot
again.
of people don't even know that Half-Life 3 has been out for like 3 years, and then no one even recognized it. Alien Colonial Marines was Half-Life 3, and it just blew everybody away.
See, this is it. They did the opposite. Valve did the opposite that Square Enix is doing, because they didn't advertise it as Half-Life 3, whereas Kingdom Hearts 3 is being advertised when it's never coming out. It doesn't exist. It's a false flag. It's a false flag.
Well,
Because Hillary Clinton is a lizard, and she planted charges.
Yeah.
please go on.
Is that?
I don't know how you figured this out, but wow, someone finally figured it out.
This is real connection here, and all I'm saying is
We've got
all I'm
real and
saying
serious here, bros. This is all real talk now.
This is all real dog now. I'm just saying, Hillary's a lizard.
It's true.
And see,
Tower
that's why I
Server-
just love playing games. So I just stick to, like, all this political bullshit. I screw that. You're never going to see ever a political issue topic that I will discuss on the internet, because it's a recipe for disaster when it comes to, because everyone has like so many different opinions. Some people love Trump, some people hate Trump, some people love Hillary, some people hate her. Everyone always has different opinions, and that's what's great about the internet, is it allows you to voice your opinion, but it also allows you to hide behind a wall, and sometimes that can create monsters.
That's why I think it's great to just make fun of both of them and just have a laugh.
Yeah, there you
know?
go. Yeah, try to be even. Make it equal.
As long as we're having fun, as long as you're not actually hurting someone physically, just have a bit of a laugh. Like I don't think Hillary Clinton's listening to this like, how does he know I'm a lizard? Like, you know what I mean?
Well, I was gonna send her this podcast, but I don't know if I should now.
No, yeah.
But the problem was I was gonna send it over email, so it would have been leaked anyways.
That's true. That's true. You can't do that.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's
Classic.
tough. That's all right. Do you know, I had a friend, I went to his apartment,
Congratulations.
and I'm like, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I've worked
You
real
had a
hard for
friend.
it.
You heard it here.
I called, I went through a website, it's findafriend.com. And I went to his place, and I wanted to use his Wi-Fi, and he's like, yeah, just this is the password. So I went, I'm like, which one's your Wi-Fi? And I look at all the Wi-Fi names, and it's Hillary Clinton's private email server was the name of his Wi-Fi. And I'm like, that's hilarious. That's great.
That's good.
Political memes.
Yeah.
What a laugh.
So
What a
let me
good
ask you guys a couple of questions.
Sure.
Okay.
Let's turn this interview around.
Sounds-
Okay, we'll start with James here.
Okay.
James, what is your first of all-time favorite game?
All-time favorite game.
All time. You have 10 seconds. Go.
It depends on the day, but it's normally either Skyrim or The Witcher 3, one or the other, depending on the day. I don't know.
What makes that your all-time favorite?
It's magic. It's just the magic.
The magic in the game, right? I didn't know there was magic.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it's
Magic is real.
Magic is real.
I think it's with things like, there's a lot of games you can play where you play a game and you have a good time with the game, but you can tell that you're playing a game. But with Skyrim and The Witcher, I think those are two games and two times where I've been able to play it And there's points where I'm like, oh shit, I'm playing a video game. Completely forgot because they're just so good. I love them so much.
Yeah. And I had that experience not with Skyrim, but I had that experience with the one before it. Shit, I'm drawing Oblivion.
Oblivion.
Yeah.
Right? And that experience I had was when you, for the first time, you got out past the dungeon or past the prison, and you could go to this area that had an arena, like a gladiatorial arena.
Yeah.
And you could go through stages of fighting enemies. And then you get to the very end stage, and you've got the boss guy in front of you. You could do a side mission that would allow you to defeat the boss. It'll allow him to, spoiler alert, make him give up, right, and not want to fight you because you did something good for him or whatever. You helped him out or whatever. And that moment of going through the gladiatorial arena was like so amazing. Like Skyrim, those kind of games, Oblivion, Elder Scrolls, and The Witcher 3. I mean, you could say the same thing. It's like the stories that they create are so mesmerizing. And what's great about them is you don't, for me, it's like you said, you feel like you were, like, for me, it's like I don't feel like I'm playing a game. I feel like I'm a part of the game. Like I'm in it. Like this is my new world, right? We all play games to escape the mundane reality of our boring lives sometimes, right? I want to go to ancient Egypt because I'm tired of sitting here at a desk playing game after game. So I erase myself into that specific game, and I don't think of myself as a YouTuber or as anything like that. I'm Bayek. I am the person that I'm playing. I'm inside that game. I try to immerse myself as much as possible. And I will definitely agree that those games, like The Witcher, Skyrim, and for me, Oblivion, were just completely amazing. All right, Tyler, Foster, Australian for beer. What is your favorite game? And the same question.
So, yeah, I'll give you just straight 3 because it'll tell you a lot about me. Number 1, Skyrim. 2, Red Dead Redemption. 3 is Kingdom Hearts 1.
Okay, so why that order?
It was real tough for me. I think Skyrim's just done the most for me in terms of like you were talking about immersion, right? Like it's a world. It's to me, I'm just like I'm in Skyrim. I'm so invested in the not just my like a character that I made, right? It's just like in the world I was playing in, like the believability of it. The fact that I played hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours in it. And I'm not done with it.
I can see why you two are friends now.
And Red Dead, to me, is the greatest narrative in a singular game.
Would you say Red Dead is better than all of Rockstar's other games?
Yes.
I'd agree as well, yeah.
By far. The best storyline in any video game I've ever played, like a standalone, right? Like... Sure, there's Red Dead Redemption 2, but it's not like John Marston's story. Like it's a standalone story.
And the reason it makes it so great is because I guarantee you, not a lot of, maybe some, but not a lot of people expected what would happen at the end of the game. And that's a game that I refuse to spoiler. But not a lot of people would expect that type of ending.
And just the end game stuff and the after game stuff. It's something unique and special, and I kind of hope they do it. I don't want to say like I hope they do the same thing in 2, but I kind of hope they do for a certain reason. You know,
2 is setting itself up as a prequel. You know, you're going to be a part of
Dutch's gang. Well, it doesn't look like. Do you want to get into this now then? Because Red Dead Redemption
I'm all about
2,
segues.
Segueing to Red Dead Redemption 2 trailer that just came out.
So the funny thing about the trailer is I've been working for the Army all day, and then I looked on my YouTube feed or my Twitter, and I saw that the trailer was out because I knew it was coming out today, and I was like, shit, why do I have to work today where I'm not next to my computer so I can put stuff out about the Red Dead? And I literally went out of my way to try to do whatever I could so I can get that trailer up on the channel because I'm such a huge Red Dead Redemption fan, just like you, and we've been waiting for so long just to see like some story elements, and I still feel like I don't know.
They didn't show much.
Yeah, they didn't show much, but I still feel like they're waiting for something. Like they're. I think we're gonna see John. I really do, but I think they're saving until like the very end of the promotional stuff before they actually show him. And of course, the setting just looks great. So, what were your guys' thoughts on the trailer?
Oh, it looked fucking great. Because it came out like a couple minutes early, from when it was meant to. It was like
Did
3 minutes early, and so I was freaking out. I was like, oh god, this is it. I wasn't even ready, and I mean, I just thought it looked great. Like visually, it looks great. Like like insanely way better than like Grand Theft Auto 5.
Do you
And,
feel that what they showed was actually in game?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think there's some post stuff on there, like with any trailer. So, I mean,
Yeah.
trailers are always going to look slightly better, but obviously it wasn't like CGI, like it was in engine for sure.
There was a few facial things that I was like, holy crap. If that really looks like that, that is amazing.
True.
Well, I think if Uncharted 4 showed me anything, it's that games can look unbelievable. Like, actually unbelievable, but it's actually in game.
yeah.
But I can guarantee you Red Dead Redemption is going to be 30 frames a second, unfortunately.
Yeah, probably. Most likely.
It's
Yeah,
not
most
gonna be 60.
definitely.
Yeah,
No, I'm
which
not
I'm
bothered.
okay with because
Yeah,
I
I'm
enjoy
not
the
bothered.
Uncharted series, and that's 30. I mean, I'm not a FPS whore, you know. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't,
exactly.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
neither.
You know, I just want a smooth gameplay. But I can tell you, it's very jarring sometimes going from a 30 FPS game to a 60 FPS game. But the trailer, like, it looked amazing. What did you think of it, Tyler?
I mean, I was a bit sad at first, just purely because I think when I found out it was a prequel to Red Dead Redemption, I was like, if we're not playing as John, I'm going to be so upset. And you know, it's pretty clear that at the very least, the main protagonist of this game is not John Marston. Who's
How do we
one of
know
my
that?
favorite-
I felt the trailer didn't really show us at all who we were playing.
I think well, one in the tags of the video it had the protagonist's name. What's his name? Arthur Morgan.
Arthur Morgan.
Yeah, and I'm
Morgan.
pretty sure there's an article about it as well.
It's
Okay.
the story of an
Information they've
outlaw,
released,
Arthur
yeah.
Morgan, and the Vanderlind
Gang, yeah.
the Dutch Vanderlind gang, as they rob, fight, and steal their way across the vast and rugged heart of America in order to survive. Now, I felt like Arthur Morgan wasn't like, let's say, Bill Williamson or Javier Escuela or John Marston in the sense of like they're proteges of Dutch. It's almost like it's like his brother, like not like his actual brother, like but like best friend.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Where he's not being told what to do. He's with Dutch, like as equals, but he does his own thing as well.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I feel that it's possible. You work with his gang, of course, but I don't think you're necessarily part of the gang the way that like John Marston was or any of the other members. I don't feel like we're a member of the gang, but we work with them sometimes. But we're sort of our own guy who does his own thing. That's the way it sort of seemed to me.
Well, I asked the question though, why is it called Red Dead Redemption 2? Like, you can have a prequel and just call it Red Dead, I don't know, Revolution, Red Dead, whatever.
They could have called it Red Dead Redemption.
Red Dead,
You know, the redemption. It's redemption.
Yeah, that's it. Like, you could call it anything, but, when you put redemption in it,
I
like,
guess
Here's
it's just
thing.
the franchise
I think
name
what
now.
sets it apart and makes it different is if you've noticed, the thumbnail for Red Dead Redemption 2 first trailer was a 2.
yeah, now it's
The
like
new
the
one is a
Roman
Roman numeral. And what that means is if you go back to ancient Egypt and the symbols of Roman mythology and all of that stuff, and I'm just making shit up here, it means absolutely nothing. I have no idea why they did that.
Yeah.
Just trying
I
to
thought you
sound
were really setting something up so inside. I was really
Yeah,
excited.
I was looking forward to that, and you ruined it.
It's almost like the philosophical meaning behind changing the number 2 to the Roman numeral 2 signifies that two people are going to get together and have a baby, and those two. No, I don't know.
I was
make
really
anything
excited.
sound
This
interesting.
almost let me down as much as not playing as John Marston, but not quite as much.
Oh, I'm almost guaranteed positive John's going to be in there. I just
he'll
hope
be
that
sure.
I hope that he's like a big part of it.
So I hope he's playable. Like,
Yeah, because he's
if there's ever a time to have multiple playable characters, it's just to make sure I play as John Marston.
Yeah, because I mean, I honestly don't think they should make a Red Dead Redemption game without his character, because I felt like he's a part of the name, just because of how much they made you feel for this guy. You know,
what a
unlike
character.
the Grand Theft Auto series where you're always playing a different guy. I just feel like for some reason, to me, Red Dead Redemption, it's like those two characters, the Red Dead and John have to be like interconnected.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, I can't. I mean, I feel like we might if they do a. I don't want to. I'm trying not to spoil the first game. Okay, I have another point. Maybe
It's been 8 years. I don't really care, but we've already kind of gone this far. Let's not spoil it.
I don't want to spoil it. I mean, I don't think John will play as because I think if we play as him in the story, he's going to entirely overshadow any other characters. To me, what I thought was that he'll be in the game, but I was expecting possibly towards the end, maybe he'll become part of the game. But I feel like it's one of them things. It's like when you throw a character like John Marston into a game that's a new story with a new character, he might overpower the game. So it's like then it's all about John, and then you're like, oh, now I just want to be with John all the time. Like I don't want to.
Well, look at
like,
the interesting
all the
thing
other
that they
stuff.
could do, right? Because we all know that John is a character himself. If it's talking about a prequel, he wasn't necessarily a good guy because this was back when they were all just evil guys killing, murdering, and doing really bad things. So imagine if what you said was true and you're playing this guy and then eventually John joins and he's kind of seeing the error of the ways of everyone, right? And then you and him kind of branch, I don't know, like maybe branch out and you see John going from like this this is what I would have loved to have seen, and seen him going from like this guy who doesn't care about anyone and stuff, and then him finally realizing that he does have a heart and he can be a good character, and I think that would be a cool segue leading into Red Dead Redemption 1. But again, it's all speculation when nobody knows anything.
Well, this guy certainly, this Arthur Morgan certainly seems unique. In the sense of like, he looks like a cold-blooded killer. Like the scene where he goes, maybe when your mother's done mourning your father, I'll keep her in black on your behalf. Like,
Yeah, that was like dark.
I was like,
Jesus.
fuck, dude, that's
What a
fucking
threat.
sick.
Well,
Yeah.
it's hard to sympathize with a guy in a game where you can literally go around and kill anyone you want. You know what I mean? It's like when Rockstar's create its characters, it's like all of their characters are always on that line of they're good or evil depending on what you do with the character. But I do agree with you. Obviously, there are some moments here he's going to be this bad guy, and I feel like because of the way Rockstar makes games, there's no way they can make a good guy. It's just impossible because of the.
I mean, John's not a good guy. You're right,
Of
but
course.
he's certainly a sympathetic guy.
Yeah, he changed. He saw the things that he did, and obviously family has a big thing to do with that too. Is that when you have a family, then you start to realize that there's more important things out there than just killing everybody and robbing.
I am just saying he does look a lot like John. I'm just saying.
So?
He does look a lot. I'll tell you what, I actually thought it was John, and then I'm like, wait, that was Morgan. At the end, when he goes, I'm with you, Dutch.
Yeah.
Like, he literally looks like John.
You think
I know
so?
he's obviously not John. He looks way older, right? But I'm just saying, like, he just looks a lot like him. It reminds me of him. He even said, I'm with you, Dutch, like John.
I
Like,
guess so. I mean,
interesting that
I
they're
didn't
kind
see
of
that,
doing
but
that.
sure. I
I don't know.
guess.
I mean, he
didn't
can't be his dad. We already know, like,
Yeah, that's not
that John
possible.
doesn't know his father or anything. But it's just interesting. I was
Yeah.
like, I wonder why they've done it, but I wonder what he's going to be like, right? With this whole storyline, obviously with Dutch. I feel like this whole Dutch Vandal and gang thing will be like the first third of the game, because most Grand Theft Autos or the first Red Dead Redemption, the storyline, it's not just one storyline. There's kind of sections to it. Like Red
Yeah.
Dead Redemption had, you had the New Austin section, then
And
you
Mexico.
had Mexico, then West Elizabeth, and then in GTA they kind of always have a bit of sections, right? And I feel like the whole Dutch gang will be one section, and this thing's going to take a turn. Like, we're not seeing much. I mean, look at the trailers for Red Dead Redemption 1. If you played the game and then watch those trailers, it just doesn't really, tell you what
And
the
that's
story
what
really
that's what Rockstar's really good at, is they don't spoil too much. They don't spoil too much of what the finished product is going to be, and then that way when you play it, you're really genuinely interested and surprised at everything you see.
What a good trailer. Just
Yeah.
looks incredible.
It was a great trailer. It was a fucking great
Interesting
trailer.
they're doing a prequel, though. I feel like there has to be a reason. You know what I mean?
Probably because you
They
can't
could've
go
done
any
any
further
story-
forward.
I mean,
Yeah, but
they
I mean,
could've done
honestly,
any
with as
storyline
much as we
in-
love the John Marston character, I mean, you know, where I would only expect it to be a prequel.
I
If
mean,
they
yeah, for
wanted to
sure.
have,
But
you know,
I obviously knew it was going to go back. I obviously knew that. But what I mean is, it had to go back, of course. No, what I mean is like, as a storyline, why is it a prequel to Red Dead Redemption 1? Like they could have
Oh,
just
you mean
done
like, as
like
in,
the
how is
GTA
this the same storyline? Like,
Yeah,
as
'cause
in,
this is a
this has to be related to the first game. If it's because a prequel would mean like it's not just set before the
This is
first game; it's directly narratively before the first game. Yeah.
It's about what relates to the first game. It's not just like they could have just made, like I was saying, they could have just made Red Dead Revolution and been a game about whatever.
Terrible name,
but
but
it's
sure,
set.
yeah.
Yeah, sure. I'm just saying, like, some Red Dead Revelations. They could have, done whatever. You know, they didn't have to call it Red Dead Redemption 2. They could have just done any storyline, in some, the Old West sort of days. But
well, I'm
they
just
didn't.
hoping that YouTube doesn't make the game Red Dead demonetization. That's all I'm hoping.
I hope so.
Yeah, that's true. Red Dead demonetization. So that's my biggest question of this whole thing is, why did they decide to tell the story of Dutch van der Linde's gang? Like, what does that matter? You hear about it. There's a couple of events that are interesting, like in Red Dead Redemption 1. One of my favorite things to do while playing John's story is the Stranger mission. That's like you're talking to God or the devil, or you're talking like a ghost.
that weird guy, yeah.
And he mentions some of the past events that John did, like their heist on a boat and killing some innocent woman, and like and talking about things he's done. He's like, I know what you did, blah blah blah. And there's just like there are throwbacks to it that are interesting, but I'm like, but what is it about this storyline that's going to affect? Because the way it ends has to directly affect the events of the first Red Dead.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like they will be directly related in some way.
You'd think so.
You'd think so, unless they do like Red Dead Redemption 3's in between 2 and 1. Like how fucking retarded is that?
Yeah. Like, where are they going after Red Dead Redemption 2? Are they gonna make a Red Dead Redemption 3? Is that like, is the franchise now just Red Dead Redemption and they'll just throw a number on it, or is the franchise Red Dead and this is 2 for a reason? I mean, I don't know.
That's what I'm concerned about too. It's like, because you had Red Dead Revolver, so then you have Red Dead Redemption. Obviously, you can change things up, but once you go Red Dead Redemption and then Red Dead Redemption 2, it's continuing that specific storyline. That's what I think of it. But then again, you've got Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto 4, Grand Theft Auto 5. It's kind of continuing the storyline, but they're in different time periods, and some of the characters intermix. So if you look at Rockstar's past history, it's hard to say what really is the case here, because they've done multiple different ways. So
that's true. We'll just have to wait and see. And I mean, I trust Rockstar with what they're doing.
Of course.
I don't think they're going to do a bad job, so.
No, they're not. And I'm actually really excited, even though I played this game so long ago, I'm excited for the PS4 version that's coming out of L.A. Noire.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm interested to see what that's going to look like, because obviously...
It's just going to be upgraded. I mean, it's going to look the same, because that game still looks like one of the games that could come out today.
It does look pretty damn good. I mean, some of the face stuff is, like, pretty weird. But, it was great at the time. Like, at the time, that was insane. It was like, this looks fucking real. But yeah, I love L.A. Noire.
I love the detective noir stories, They're so fun.
Yeah, it's good fun.
Did you notice the bow and arrow in the trailer as well?
Yeah. Looks like that'll probably be... I mean, every game's doing that now. They're just like, we gotta include the bow and arrow.
Yeah, even dual-wielding revolvers and stuff. Like, there was some...
Yeah, some good additions.
Interesting...
to sort of see how the gameplay has changed. Because, I mean, there's not a lot in those kinds of trailers where you can determine gameplay, because it's all sort of story stuff. But there's some things, like with the bow and arrow and with the revolvers and stuff, that's like, okay, so that's something they're changing with the gameplay. So it's interesting to think what they're going to do with that.
Is this supposed to take place like in the 1880s or something like that?
Probably, or the 1890s. John
it has to be 80s or 90s, because I mean, you can't go too far back and have it pertain to what's supposed to happen.
Dutch looks pretty
John
young.
was what, 16 when he joined Dutch? and he was 36 when he died. Things happened.
When he dyed his hair, I do remember
Yeah,
he dyed his hair from that. It was like
Look, we know he died at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't necessarily happen in the game.
Oh fuck! But
Dude, what's the big deal about a guy dyeing his hair, man? Are you one of those guys that just can't stand people who dye their hair?
I can't. Don't.
No.
Tyler Foster Australian for beers. You upset me.
Jesus Christ.
Oh god. Alright, so what were you saying about what were we talking about? Oh, you were saying he was 36, alright, in Red Dead 1. Right? So
yeah, he said he was.
they'd have to go like 20, they could only go 20 years back.
36 when he dyed his hair.
Yeah.
A lot of people at that age dye their hair because they're looking for a change. You know, they're almost hitting 40.
That's true.
They've got to think about
Life
themselves in a new manner. And back in the early 1900s, you got to think about how important hair color was to society. Hair
Look, it
color was
was.
very important.
It really was.
Yeah, it was all
Yeah.
about the hair color.
Did you think that voiceover that was like, that said something, oh, you're a wanted man, Mr. Morgan? It sounded like Edgar Ross.
Oh, you said that on Twitter. I don't remember what Edgar Ross sounds like, so I can't comment, but
It definitely sounded like Edgar Ross.
that's
I wouldn't be
interesting.
surprised. I mean, he was the one that was after the Vandalin gang in the first game. It wouldn't shock me at all that he was, you know, in his younger days involved with some of the crimes they committed.
And like
Yeah,
trying
but
to hunt them down.
At this early stage, it's hard to say because sometimes when you get actors that are stick with certain companies, and you
That's
just
true,
never
you're right.
know. You never know.
It could be anyone.
Yeah.
That's true. But it'd be
I'd
interesting.
like to see some, you know, return characters that, you know, if Irish showed up, I would laugh so hard. Like, there's some of those funny Red Dead Redemption characters that are just great.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, we've got Dutch in the
Yeah,
in the trailer.
I
so
hope
it's
the
not-
zombies return.
Gotcha.
I think that would make sense.
the zombies, but bring it to the main game. That's the main story. It takes
That's
a
the main
turn,
story.
and then zombies show up.
Red Undead Redemption.
And that is when the Men in Black showed up and erased everyone's memories once the zombies had died. And they
Yes.
forgot the zombie apocalypse, and, you know, Arthur Morgan died from that event, and John Marston forgot that was his dad. You know, he thought his dad was... That's all I'm saying.
Then he
That's
went
all
and
I'm
dyed his hair a few years after that.
saying. Yeah, a few years after
It was
that.
a sad
like-
moment too, man. When he dyed his hair, I mean, I was tearing up. It was
Oh my god. Oh my god.
But he did it
Brilliant.
for his family because he didn't want his family to be, you know, he didn't want his family to be typecast with his hair color, you know, like running around, you know. I mean, how would you feel if, you know, you got these FBI agents coming after you because you've got certain hair color, you know, and he was just trying to help his family. He wanted his family to be safe by changing his, you know, his hair.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right. You're
that's
right.
accurate.
I mean, I
And he
would
did it.
recommend
He
I'd
did
recommend
it.
a haircut, change of clothes, but he just thought,
Yeah,
let's
and
change
then
the
years later, I mean, you know,
He just dyed it from black to
his
red.
son, years later, his son wanted to do the same thing for the FBI agent. He wanted him to dye his hair, you know, and show him how it was like when his dad dyed his hair, you know, back in the day. Like, how dare you treat my father like that and make him, you know, make him dye his hair, you know?
I know. Yeah, I know. It really killed me inside seeing what had to happen to all those characters, and to see, you know, Jack Marston years later really make someone else die.
Yeah, I mean, there was
Yeah.
blood all over the floor because, well, I mean, it looked like blood, but it was red dye because he dyed his hair
no,
red.
Yeah. he dyed his
So,
hair
I mean, it was.
That's
you
where
know,
the title comes from. Red
Yeah.
Dead Redemption. Red
Yeah,
Dyed Redemption.
red dyed redemption.
yeah. Not many people understand the nuances of this
don't.
franchise like we
They
do. This
don't.
is a real in-depth analysis and look at the
Exactly.
truth.
Mm.
This is
Salty.
This is hard-hitting journalism right here, folks.
Well, someone's got to do it. We're dealing with so much fake news, right? We've got to give
know.
them truth. We've got to give them real news.
Yeah.
I saw just something classic clickbait on Facebook was Red Dead Redemption 2 trailer drops and release date. I'm like, no.
There was
there's
no release date.
It was release window. Spring is a 3-month
which we already
period.
knew
Oh
about
no,
anyway.
no. Spring. If you if you take the word spring and you put it into an anagram demoralizer, what it does is it comes up with this number, and this number is an exact date, and that's where they got it from. I mean, this is real stuff here.
Okay. Okay. That's yep. All right.
If you take the S, the P, the R, the I, and the G, and then you turn them upside down, it's it's just like when you spin a record backwards, and the blood of Satan will like a Chicago record.
Sure. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense.
You guys don't get that reference, do you? Oh.
Yeah, nah, might be.
You guys are probably a little bit too young for that reference.
Yeah, it's lost on me. I'm not gonna lie.
Watch Little Nicky.
Okay, I'll add it to my list. I'll get back
I'm
to
trying
you.
to find. Have we got any new details after this trailer's been released?
Red Dead? Don't think so, actually. I think all we got was his name, that he'll be with the gang. I don't think we got too much. But although someone did notice, the map we got leaked a while back?
Yeah.
That was a while back, yeah.
Yeah, there's new information from this trailer legitimizing the map, because there was an icon in the center of the map that said Cornwall, and there's a train in the trailer that has Cornwall written on the side of it. So
wow,
people have taken that and been like, so
enormous,
and it had part of the old map in it too.
You do a lot of videos where you analyze trailers.
Yeah,
because that would blow right by my mind.
Yeah, that was it's interesting, and like that map was huge, and it has some of the old mapping, like you've got tall trees and stuff in that map. So
did you say toiletries?
What?
It sounded like you said they've got toiletries.
Why would I say that?
I don't know. I swear. Rewind, people, and tell me if it doesn't sound like he said toiletries.
Maybe I did, but probably not. But that's something we got. But other than that, no news. No news on the.
I tell you a game that I'm really excited for: Spider-Man PS4.
I am as well. Tyler's not though. I don't
that looks
think.
shit.
That's okay. It doesn't.
No. No, okay.
Just think of it as Assassin's Creed modern day.
Yeah, that sounds.
That makes me want to get it less. Yeah. Now I might not get it.
This conversation didn't go how you thought it was going to go, did it, Chris?
I just try to change it up every now and then, and it's a great way to stay in shape. I hope you get that reference.
I got it.
Okay, good.
Okay.
I'm just like stuck on articles like of what you missed in the Red Dead Redemption 2 trailer. There's an alligator is one of the 5 things.
Definitely didn't miss that. It was right there.
Like there's an alligator.
There was grass in the trailer. I swear I saw it. I can't pinpoint exactly when it was in there, but that grass had 5 million polygons. That's what they're pushing.
That's the whole game.
Yeah, truly amazing.
Even better, here's the 5th one. The article's been building towards it. Horse anatomy.
I'm sorry. How is that okay?
People will do anything to get a few views.
That's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, that's what I was thinking about. I was just like, well, we get to see a bit more of the horse anatomy in this trailer. As you see, the muscle textures have been developed.
Anatomically correct.
It looks anatomically correct. I'm waiting to see a horse breeder come in just to, legitimize that claim, but it looks certainly like it. This is the worst top 5. And there's an alligator. This is it. I'll read just the 5. The main character feels like he's going to die.
I'm sorry.
Does he feel like he's going to dye his hair? Just like John Marston did?
Yeah, he feels like he's going to die.
Why does everyone have to dye their hair?
He feels like he's going to die. What?
The main character feels like he's going to die. His hair. Number 2, new weapons. Number 3, there's an alligator. Number 4, hints of heist. Number 5, horse anatomy.
What the fuck? Is this a Polygon article? What the fuck is this shit?
Polygon is... I'm sorry, I've met those guys. Oh my god, man.
Polygon's an interesting company.
I do like them.
Dude, I don't know if you've seen Cuphead, like the game, or I've looked at it at all.
Yes.
It's a really cool game.
It's finally coming out.
But there and it's not Polygon. Usually it's Polygon, but there's a guy who played it and couldn't get past the tutorial level, the first level.
I saw that. Jesus
Oh my God. And
Christ.
Polygon themselves, I've seen so many videos of them like just not being very
It's
good
awful.
at
It's
video
so-
games.
it's so bad.
Oh, it drives me crazy. It's like you have the best job in the world when you get to put out this stuff and invite it to all these events. At least show
play a
some
game,
love,
like-
you know?
Oh, it's terrible.
But no, it's the game's fault, you see, and the game
Oh, of
is
course.
bad.
I mean, I'm sure you guys have heard of a guy named DSP.
Nah.
Nah,
What?
definitely not.
What?
But
No.
Oh my God, did I just change your life forever?
What's-
okay, maybe.
Maybe, possibly.
Wow. I just changed. This is going to be the moment, everyone, that Tyler, James, life has changed
Okay.
forever.
Okay.
Go
well,
and look up. This is how you don't play. Just
Okay.
type in "this is" in YouTube, and I think YouTube will do the rest.
Okay. Let's have a look.
is it DSPGaming? Is that the channel it's from?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay,
All I
hang
can
on.
recommend is this. When you guys get off here, okay? I don't mean literally get off, please. Don't. When you get off here, because he
It
did
might
that on
happen.
camera.
Look, don't discriminate. It might
He
happen.
did that on camera. He got off while he was live streaming and didn't realize he was live streaming, and he was getting off. But that's besides the point.
All right.
That's just one of his many awesome talents.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Is this a series? Because it looks like there's multiple videos where it's like, this is how
Yeah.
you don't play.
Well, the people that
Oh,
do
no.
This Is How You Don't Play, they take his videos and then they put them all together in a mashup of how not to play a game.
That's amazing.
And it's
So
what you
what
need to
the
do
video
is
is-
when you're like ready for bed or you've got a few hours, put them on the TV and just watch This Is How. The best one for you to watch, I think, would be This Is How You Don't Play Metal Gear Solid 3,
Okay.
MGS 3. This is how you don't play MGS 3. If you just watch that, even the first 10 minutes of it, you will have a new love for YouTube. You'll have a new respect for YouTube. I mean, I've gotten through many nights of just being, like, not necessarily being sad, but just like be like, oh, sometimes YouTube sucks, sometimes, whatever. And then I go and watch this guy, and then immediately I feel like I'm the king of the world. I can take on any adventure
Amazing.
and succeed. So it's
Well-
a very good pick-me-upper.
We do a thing on here called KCC Reacts where sometimes we'll just watch a video. Obviously, it's an hour and a half long, but maybe we could watch the first, 2 minutes of the video together and have
You
a
should.
laugh.
You should. I'm telling you, I bet the audience would love it too because, I mean, I've watched James' stuff a lot, and I know that I think that he or that would fit in with what he does. I think the audience would really enjoy watching that type of reaction stuff. I mean, it's really super funny, and I mean I don't have any problems with the guy, but he's just one of those guys that he's absolutely fun to watch, just in the wrong ways, but it's really entertaining. But it's just not the entertaining he was hoping for. Just watch. I promise you.
Let's watch the first 2
you.
minutes right now. Let's watch the first 2 minutes right now.
All right.
We do
Which
it on
one?
the
You can watch
podcast.
it.
We do this reaction on the podcast. I just put the Metal Gear. I just put in the chat here the link to the Metal Gear Solid 3.
How do you? Oh shit! Hold on. There we go. Okay.
So James will
uh,
get it up on the screen so people can kind of have a look, and then I'll just count down, and then we all hit play at the same time, and then we just kind of go from there. Maybe the first minute or two, just to give a teaser to the people.
Well,
check it
I
out.
mean,
Freddie-
it's
I mean-
best. The thing is that he talks for a long time for the very first minute, so it's a little. Maybe if you want to fast forward it just a little bit. I mean, it's
All right,
Where
should we
would you
skip in
recommend-
somewhere?
Where do you recommend? Give us a time.
Hold on. I'm going through it right now, and I'll give you an exact time here.
Okay.
That would be a good point for you guys.
Okay.
Now
I'm
you're
excited.
on Metal Gear Solid 3, right? This is how you don't play from
Yeah.
Evil AJ.
Yes.
so,
Yes, it is.
yeah.
Okay, good. That's the one you want because that's the one that's got all the views and.
I mean, I'm excited. It's got 1.7 million views, so I expect
Okay,
this to be
this is the
phenomenal.
perfect moment. All right.
What's the timer on
my
that?
God, this is great. So we're gonna start at 24:15.
All right. 24. 15.
And let me know when you guys are ready, and then, or you guys can say whenever we start. That's fine.
All right. I am ready.
Okay, I'm ready to go too.
Tyler gonna do the countdown?
Yeah, I'll count us down.
All right.
Hit play in 3, 2, 1.
All right, synopsis here. He doesn't know how to equip a suppressor. So
Okay.
the guy is showing literally on the screen where it says how to equip the suppressor.
Put on and off suppressor with A button.
Okay. Pretty
So
standard
there's nothing on-
stuff.
He's just literally showing us the screen there. It's like watching a Down syndrome child try to tie his shoes. The cluelessness and utter awareness. Oh
so
god.
good.
I love that comments pop up as like this video is going on.
Yeah, it shows all the comments that people put in this other specific video.
I swear to God, I found one. I swear to God, I found one.
I swear to God, I found one.
God.
I'm gonna read some of these comments as we go through. Sometimes I think he does it on purpose. His stupidity has to be an act. Just for the audio listeners that can't see. Just realised Phil hasn't even spoken to Signet yet. Instead of the King of Hate, he really should be calling
the
the...
side of the building there.
That's a
Turn around,
big ass
turn
comment.
That way. And turn all
I
the
want
way
to see him
around
try to
now.
shoot. Try to shoot something.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
for him to
horrible,
Wait
like-
for him to turn the corner and then run up and knock him
And
out.
get mad because there's no suppressor working on it.
Now, he literally took around 5 hours of the game before he figured out how to put a suppressor on his weapon. Now, now the reason I brought this up is because this is my forte. This is what I do.
Yeah.
These games on the hardest difficulty, complete stealth. This is what I do.
They're your shit.
Like,
Yeah, this is your shit.
watch this.
So does this hurt your feelings?
It doesn't hurt my feelings. It just makes me realize that no matter how bad of a day you can have, if you put on this is how you don't play video, it's like the first thing everyone should do every morning before they wake up.
Oh
You
my
know?
god.
Like a pick-me-upper. It's like, oh my
How to
god,
be a-
it can't get worse.
How to be a YouTuber that like there's like series made by dozens of people about you. There's a whole gaming YouTube culture about your videos and how bad they are.
So there's a section in this game, right? And I don't know if you guys have played MGS3 or not.
No, I haven't.
There's a section. This is an amazing game. This is the best story ever made. The Metal Gear Solid series is like the best story period in the video game. At least in my opinion. I mean, it's really cool. But what's funny about this is there's a section of the game where you're doing a sniper battle with a guy who's like 100 years old, called the End, right? And it's completely that you have to literally try to stealth your way around, try to find out where he is, get up behind him, and then take him hostage, and then take him out and kill him, right? It takes Phil around maybe 2-3 hours to defeat this boss battle.
Jesus.
And it's just a boss battle. It's something that you can actually complete in 5 seconds.
In 5 seconds.
Because what you can do is it's all based off of timing. So let's say if you start this battle, right? And then you turn your game off, or you set the game time period ahead, like I want to say, like a couple of days, like your internal clock of your PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 2. You can come back into the game, and then the End will die.
And this is a stealth
whole
game,
game.
right? Like this is a stealth specific game as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Do you want to? We'll pause the video.
All right.
So this is a stealth-specific game, Metal Gear, right? And this guy's just running around like a fucking headless chicken, just shooting everybody. All the comments are popping up like, "This is supposed to be a stealth game. You're not going to be rewarded for running around like an idiot." He's like, "Why? What? I'm like,
Well, the guy also says a lot of dumb things. He's got no filter, but he has a hard time of respecting his audience, and that's the thing that I think a lot of people go into is that. You can even see my look at the comments down below in the video. Do you see that? Well, it says my top comment. I put a comment in there 4 years ago on this video.
Okay.
And And I said, I just wanted to say that this is the best video I have seen in years. Because I was going through the game at the time, and I saw this. And if you look to the right where it says all of the recommended videos, and he's got all those other This Is How You Don't Play. And he's got This Is How You Don't Plays of Dark Souls, of every game you could think of that you would normally be able to get through, but he takes forever to get through. He's just not very good at video games. It's gotten so bad that he recognizes how bad he is at games, and he himself, because this is other people that made This Is How You Don't Play series, and it's more popular on YouTube than his channel itself.
That's depressing.
So he started making This Is How You Don't Play videos, just so that he could make more money.
Smart business. You
true.
can't be mad at that. That was very smart.
No, that was brilliant. But he spent the first few years of it just complaining. He hates Hideo Kojima.
Okay.
If you actually watch the first 5-10 minutes of the video, he'll go on and say how Kojima is a worthless whatever, and all this kind of stuff. And every single time he plays a Metal Gear Solid game, he goes on and says, "Oh, Kojima, the controls are so bad." And we just watch him literally where it says press A to put on your suppressor, and he can't figure it out for 5 hours. Then he blames the game, and he
posts so many videos. He posts 20 videos a day.
Yeah, no. He's got thousands and thousands of videos on his channel.
He has 45,000 videos on his YouTube channel.
That's insane. Yeah. That's just too many.
And nobody watches him, but he's got 150,000.
He's been at the amount of subscribers that he's had for about 4 years, and he's only gained, I think, maybe
sad.
1,000 or 2. So
poor guy.
People love watching him because of just how bad he does and how much of a and like I said, he's got a video out there where he started a live stream. He didn't know that he was live yet. He didn't know that he had his camera on. Okay? So he was live. So he knew he was live, but he has a screen that comes up that says live stream will start soon. Right? Like a lot of people do.
Yeah.
But he forgot that his camera was showing. So he's sitting there fapping on his live stream.
You're actually serious? I thought you were joking before. I thought that was a joke.
No, I'm not joking. This is serious. This happened. And he's sitting there fapping, and you don't see him because the camera's pointed at his head, so you don't see his other head.
Oh, that's kind of worse, I think.
It is worse because you see his expressions.
Oh,
and
that's
you
awful.
know exactly when the money shot.
Oh no!
Oh
And
no!
You got to watch the video. It's not like you're watching him. It's not like you're watching him, do it. But you just got to watch the reaction videos that people have posted of it. When you see that money shot, when you see his reaction on his face, the crinkles in his face.
Can we please do that now? I know that's fucked up, but can we please?
Let me search it and I'll put it in the thing here. Hold on.
Are we gonna get demonetized for this?
No, because you don't see anything. You see nothing.
Well,
Jay, stop being that guy. All
they
right?
YouTube demonetized everything these days.
Oh, who cares?
I don't actually care. No, I don't really care.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. I gotta make sure I get a really, really, really good one.
Okay. Part of me wants to think this guy does it on purpose.
Straight to the point.
Okay.
All right, here we go. So, and it's only 1 minute and 57 seconds, and I'm gonna post it.
Dude works quick. Much respect.
All right, check your guys' chat.
Oh god,
All
there
right.
it is.
And I seriously go to sleep watching this guy because it's relaxing to me. I don't know why.
This
It's
video
so weird.
specifically?
Don't.
Yeah,
Okay.
This-
No. Good one. I set myself up for that one.
Yeah,
Not this one specifically. This Is How You Don't Play series. I never watch his videos. I watch the people that make fun of him video.
Yeah, I do.
All right,
do
so
like a
we're
good
going
bit
to
of
start
making
this
fun
from
of
the
someone.
beginning. You guys can do the
Okay.
countdown.
All right, I'm ready.
Press start in 3, 2, 1.
So he doesn't know
Hold
that
on.
his camera's on.
So the stream's starting to use things. He's on a
I
PS4.
love how you can hear the PS4 home in the background.
No, this is. I'll never be able to hear the PS4 home background music the same. Oh no! Oh my god! You can kind of people watching would be like, I don't know what he's doing. He's doing what I think he's doing. Okay, and then you're like, yeah, he is. Oh, yeah, that's a disdainful look he's got on his face. Oh no.
Oh, for God's sake!
No.
Why?
no.
Why? Why?
Oh no, that head roll back. Oh no. Oh, okay.
This is so bad. Why?
He looks just disdainful. Disdainful.
Oh my God.
He doesn't know his camera's on. How fucking stupid can you be at this point?
How do you not know?
He's close to the finish line.
Oh God.
The thing is, like, the stream starts soon is because he's jerking off first before he streams.
Oh God.
But he's just looking at the PS4 home screen. What's he looking at?
I mean, he's obviously got that on a different monitor.
Oh no.
Yeah, he's got
Oh,
like
no.
a TV. He plays on TV, so he's got his TV or monitor or whatever there.
Oh no. Oh,
The
no.
funny thing is, he just immediately goes into the live stream. You don't even see any cleanup.
Oh no. Oh, there it is.
Why?
There it is. Oh, that was the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life.
What is up, everyone?
And on.
No.
What the fuck?
Oh, the camera's on. The camera's been on the whole time, huh? I don't even know. Hello.
It's like he doesn't even care.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, the fact that he realized it straight away. Oh my god.
He didn't wash his hands. He just goes right into it, man.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh.
Maybe he had a sock. I don't know what his method is. I haven't asked him. But
My
that
god.
I'm telling you guys, like I've changed your life forever. So I'm telling you, if you're ever feeling bad, if you're ever feeling down, watch one of the "This Is How You Don't Play" videos, and it will really cheer you up. It'll really like, and I don't mean that in any disrespect towards him. Like, you know, I don't have any ill feelings towards him as a person, although he's very mean to his audience and he's not a very nice guy. But it's just what he's doing is very entertaining, one way or another, even if it's not the entertaining that he necessarily wants.
His face when he realized the camera was on the whole time, he just kind of does a head bobble. He's like, And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Wow. That is
Oh,
the most
what a
embarrassing
man.
shit I've ever
Yeah.
seen in my life. Oh,
You're welcome.
Oh no, I feel so bad for him. That's a nightmare. He just lived a nightmare.
Oh, that's great. That's really great.
Yeah, and I got my wife into watching him too, and she just says how annoying he is. and all
Which
that
video?
stuff. Huh?
Every
video?
time.
No, not that video. No, I did let her watch that video too because it's so funny. But like I said, I mostly watch all of his "This Is How You Don't."
Yeah,
They're not his
sure.
videos, so I'm supporting other YouTubers that actually take the time to insert those comments and to edit them in ways that make it very, very enjoyable. And it's just a really, really fun way of kind of getting lost in YouTube for a couple of hours and just watching something that's constantly funny, of watching him making fun of game after game, saying that it's the game's fault he can't beat this, or, you know, he's rage quitted Dark Souls, he's rage quitted so many games that he's played. You know, he considers himself to be one of the best Street Fighter. He's considered himself to be a professional Street Fighter player.
No.
But
Oh,
he
no.
showed videos of him playing Street Fighter, losing, and he'll literally rage quit and disconnect and all this stuff. And it's
That's so
it's just
funny.
good quality entertainment.
I thought it was worse. I thought you were not the game. I thought you were talking about like he literally considers himself a Street Fighter.
Like he go
No,
fights
no.
in
At first,
the street.
I was like, oh no, I've met those people. It's that there's nothing that triggers me more than those people. I'm like, oh god, oh please, no.
But I've just made a few of your hours every now and then brighten up. So
I mean, yep. I kind of just feel sad at the moment now.
You feel sad.
Yeah, well. Oh no. Okay, how do I segue from that? Where do I even go from
Where
watching
do
you
you-
guys jerk off on a webcam on the podcast?
That's not where we thought our
I'm just trying to
podcast
make-
would
I'm
go
just trying
3
to
years
make my
ago.
appearance as special as possible. That's all.
Oh yeah,
Once
no,
you
You'll be
remember.
remembered, for
yeah,
sure.
no, it will be remembered. It will certainly be remembered. Battlefront 2 got a new trailer. Let's just go. Just
Yeah.
I'm not even going to segue.
Well, it's kind
Battlefront
of
2.
like a demo trailer, right? Like kind of a
Like a tour of the game, isn't it?
tutorial, like of the game
Yeah.
modes and the different stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, John Boyega narrates it and stuff.
was
But
great.
have you all seen it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris? First of all, what do you think of? You mentioned the first Battlefront, and you enjoyed the game itself, but
I enjoyed the game itself. I did not enjoy the fact that it was very bare bones.
Yeah, I agree. I
As
hated
a
it.
huge fan of the old
Hated it
Star
now.
Wars Battlefront, like
Yeah.
the original
Mm.
Battlefronts back in the day, 1 and 2.
Yeah.
It's a shame to see what it's kind of turned into. Kind of like a cash grab, right?
Well, this looks like the step in the right direction, right?
It's a step in the right direction, but it's still missing something that is very, very important to all of us huge fans of Battlefront.
Mm-hmm.
That is the Galactic Conquest.
Oh,
So,
yes.
sure,
yes,
There's a
yes,
mode that in the old games was Galactic Conquest that really made you feel like,
I love that. So good.
you're in the Star Wars, universe.
Mm.
And it's not in there anymore. And now in the second game, it's not in there as well. Now they've got some really cool modes. Like from the very beginning of this game, you're going to be able to do space battles.
Mm.
But unfortunately, you're not going to be able to go from space battle to like you can't fly
Ground, yeah.
ships and ground and stuff like that. There's going to be segues. You know what I mean? Like waves, sections. Whereas before, if you remember in the Battlefield games, you could literally go from, the ground, and then you could fly into space, and then you could be doing a space battle, seamlessly. Well, you can't do that, obviously. But there's more heroes. There's a lot more heroes. There's like 14 heroes instead of, what was it, how many last time?
Like
6 or something like
six,
that.
Yeah.
Lots of maps. I'm really excited about the single player, but I also think that the single player is going to be very small. I don't think it's going to be very long,
You think?
which is what I feel.
Well, it'll be like any FPS sort of Battlefield sort of campaign. It'll be like 4 or 5 hours.
To be honest, I'm not super excited and thrilled about playing the character that we're playing as. Nothing against her, but I want to be like, I want a campaign of like, I want to be a Jedi, or I want to be, a badass.
Yeah,
Not-
sure.
Sure, I
No,
guess.
I'm sure
I mean,
she's
I
going to be a
like the
badass.
character.
I'm sure she's going to be really cool, and it's going to be awesome. But when it's a Battlefront game, I want to feel like,
Star
all the
Wars, yeah. You
Star
wanna be
Wars.
a
I want to
Jedi.
live that moment that we've all wanted to live.
Yeah,
so
sure.
It looks
I
like it's
guess.
got a lot of really, really cool things that they've added this year, and I'm excited for it. I'm going to be playing the crap out of it, starting mid-November on, because that's the last big release of the year, is Battlefront 2. It's going to be November 3rd will be Call of Duty, and then after that will be Battlefront, and then there's nothing else that's really coming out the rest of the year.
There's just
so that'll
the
be like the
expansion
last
for
thing.
Horizon Zero Dawn, I think.
Yeah, there's a DLC for that. That's
Yeah,
coming
true.
out.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
But
there's
the
nothing
big
else. It's-
release, Battlefront 2, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. I am also.
What do you think of the trailer, James?
I thought it was great. I like that they showed us everything. I think it was quite transparent in terms of like, this is the content that's in the game. Obviously, they're proud that it's more. I mean, I still think it's not as much content as what was in the original Battlefront 2, but I mean, the game has more. I don't know, I guess quality to it. Not that the original Battlefront 2 was bad, but like the kind of game they're trying to make, the amount of content for the kind of game they're trying to make, I think is a
It's
right
almost
amount.
too much quality, because
And sure,
it's so much quality now that back in the day, yes, the game didn't look as good, but you had literally like, I mean, how many people you could play, in multiplayer back in
oh
the
yeah,
day.
tons.
And
yeah, that
now
was great.
they were toting about 20 versus 20, and I'm like, you're kidding me, a game that's over 10 years old did double that.
Yeah,
But
that's
at
true.
the same time, you're right. It's the graphics have been so ramped up, and you really feel like you're a part of this world that you can kind of accept that it's only 2020 instead of these massive.
Yeah, true. And I think that I mean they've already said like there's no season pass, there's no paid. I mean, like obviously there'll be microtransactions, but they've said all DLC that's coming out is like there'll be stuff at the end of the year, there'll be stuff next year. Every so often they'll be releasing free updates, similar to like GTA Online in a sense. They'll be bringing
That
out
was unacceptable.
new stuff.
What they did
So
with the first Battlefront, it was unacceptable
yeah, that
to pay
was
full price for a game,
Awful.
get 10% of a game, and then when they release the other maybe 50% of what a game was, you're paying another $150.
Well, it also, they've realized how it alienated everything they did, because you would get people, those hardcore players that played in the beginning, but then they lost interest because there was nothing else to do. They didn't go back and play the next DLC. And what that did was it made it that with the people that didn't have the DLC, it was harder to play matches, because you could only play with people that were doing the DLC stuff. So it made it harder to find matches, and it wasn't as easier to get into it. So again, what they're doing with the micro DLC is how they're calling it, is hopefully going to be a lot better implemented, and the way that they're doing the customization is going to be so much more in depth.
Yeah.
And we've got so many new cool characters, and they're using the heroes in more of a, like, you're going to be able to be a hero a lot more often than you ever were in the first Battlefront. But, you had to pick up a hero card, and you got that maybe once every like 10, 15 matches. But now it's going to be a lot. It's based off of how well you're doing, not specifically, finding a card in the, world.
Yeah, that made no sense. Yeah, that made zero sense.
Yeah, I'm happy
like
they
anything
changed
you
that.
got, any vehicle, like it was just like some floating object. I'm like, okay, well, I guess.
Yeah, now everything's tied to how well you're doing. I mean, I would have liked if they'd have taken from Battlefront 2, the old Battlefront 2, the way the world works, and what they do in Battlefield, the way that the vehicles are part of the map, and when you find a vehicle, you use the vehicle. Like, I really like that in the old Battlefront games, the way that you could do that, whereas in Battlefront 1, it was with the tokens. With Battlefront 2, it's now tied to, like, it's almost kind of like a kill streak from Call of Duty in a sense. The way that when you do well, it's like now you can choose to spawn in an X-wing or something, and it's like I mean, it's better than the first game, but still would have liked it to be more Battlefield style, sort of, in terms of vehicles.
I just honestly hope that the single player has so much variation in it that it's not just I'm on the ground. Like, I want
I think it will,
space battles. She's a pilot. I want to see her pilot things. I want that. I want to go from space to ground. I want to feel like it's so immersive. Like, because when I play Star Wars games, it is my childhood that comes to the forefront, And I want that to be as good as possible, because we care about Star Wars. We care about this stuff so much because a lot of us grew up, as kids. Not a lot of games we can say that for, because a lot of the games that came out when we were kids, they were no longer really available anymore. So this is something that I'm so attached to, a mental state from when I was younger, that I want it to be successful. I care so much about the Star Wars franchise. I hope it does well. But
Chris, what do you think of The Last Jedi, and now J.J. Abrams is going to take up also Episode 9 for this new trilogy?
I'm thrilled.
You're thrilled?
A lot of people, said that The Force Awakens was pretty much just A New Hope for today's modern society, which in a way it does have a lot of similarities. But when you have Star Wars, it's just being in that world for me. Like, you don't need to revolutionize me for Star Wars. Like, right? I'm very hardcore when it comes to Star Wars. I don't need to be like, oh my God, I've never seen that in Star Wars before. No, I want the space battles. I want the story. I want the building of new Jedi, because at the end of 6, spoiler alert, you finally defeated the Empire, and then I was expecting something to happen right after that, but no, they went 30 years ahead, and everything is so different than what I thought it was going to be. It's like, there is no more Jedi. Again, in 4, 5, and 6, there was no Jedi, but here we are again in 7, 8, and 9, and there's no Jedi. So it's like, why did they go that route? But at the same time, I thought JJ did a great job, and I'm really excited to see how he's going to, he started it, and he's going to bookend it. So I've got good hopes for it.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, people, like you said, people thought it was A New Hope, but I'm like, what's wrong with making Star Wars Star Wars? Especially, that's what The Force Awakens was, exactly what it had to be. It's exactly what it had to be. It's exactly what it needed to be, is to please old Star Wars fans, bring new Star Wars fans in and set up great, which I thought all the new characters were fantastic.
Yep.
And I thought all the old characters, I think Harrison Ford killed it, was the star of that movie.
Yeah, it was a shame when he died. His hair.
Yeah,
You know, he had to.
it was-
He's getting really old, and he had to dye his hair from gray back to black a little bit. You know,
have a little bit of red.
a little bit of red too.
A little bit of red. That's a new meme. But with, I think, having The Last Jedi be where it is, I think, people are worried JJ's going to make Episode 9, or it's just going to be sort of Return of the Jedi game. Like, just because The Force Awakens was what it was, it had to be that. Doesn't mean that's what he's going to do. He knows how to make movies.
Yeah.
JJ is a phenomenal filmmaker, and he knows these characters. He had an idea of where these characters would go, and now he gets to finish off what he started. And he loves the script for The Last Jedi, because once he's talked about, and that's the thing, when the Episode 9 director fell through, I knew JJ was going to do it, because JJ said when he came onto The Force Awakens, they asked him to do the whole trilogy, and he said no. He's like, can't do it. But then he finished Force Awakens, read the script for The Last Jedi, and he said, damn, I wish I'd said yes to directing, because this script is amazing.
So I think it's going to be really interesting. My honest opinion of what number 8 is going to be is I'm kind of cut in between this whole thing with Luke, because they've said that he's kind of going to train Rey, but not. And so I'm so intrigued, because they're telling everyone that this is not going to be what you're expecting, and that intrigues me even more, because we're expecting it to be like the Empire Strike Back, and where you're going to get, the new Yoda, Luke is teaching Rey, but because of the character of Kylo Ren and how his whiny bitch ass is so different than any other character in Star Wars, I love it. I mean, you had whiny bitch ass Jar Jar, and then you had whiny bitch ass Kylo Ren, but I like whiny bitch ass Kylo Ren.
It's perfect.
It's perfect. I feel like a kid that is scorned between Darth Vader, his father being Han Solo, his mother being a Jedi. I felt like that's exactly what could happen to, a messed up boy,
Yeah, well, it's easy to be
I
torn
agree.
between, but I also think there's more to it. It's not as simple as he's gone to the dark side. I feel like there's a reason to it. Like, this gets in a lot of the deep sort of visions and stuff and theories of these new movies, of when you look into Rey's vision, and that those are all events that Rey was a part of at some sort of age, people are saying, or at least the lightsaber was at, and like people are saying like Kylo saved Rey if you look into this part, or something like that, so, or maybe saved Luke, depending on how you look at it, because there's like the lightsaber theory, which is one where everything's about the lightsaber, like that whole vision was, everything you saw was the lightsaber was there, or something like that, which is one way to look at it, but then it doesn't make sense that Rey's a kid unless it's like Luke dropping her off, or someone with the lightsaber dropping her off, or it's Rey was at all these events at some point, but then that doesn't make sense because they're at Cloud City in the vision. Like, it's weird, it's interesting, there's so much to kind of analyze.
The other thing is, because there's so much time periods between 4, 5, and 6, and then 7, that I've been able to separate them in my mind. So I've got 4, 5, and 6, and to me, if I need to block out 7, 8, 9, I can do it, and I can make my own ending for that. And I was one that enjoyed the prequel trilogy. In certain ways I didn't, but I enjoyed, because I'm just a Star Wars fan. I just want to see. I don't go to a Star Wars movie to be I don't know how to say this, to be emotionally, technically blown away. I go to a Star Wars movie because it to me, it is the quintessential popcorn space opera. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I go for a specific reason, and it's okay if you go a completely different route or do something, it's not going to ruin Star Wars for me. This is like one of those series that to me will just always be able to keep going. And I'm actually more excited about the upcoming Obi-Wan Kenobi movie than I am about any of the main trilogy, because I've had my main trilogy already. That's fine. I like these side stories. Rogue One, I thought was amazing. It let me get deeper into the Death Star plans, and it fit perfectly because I always wondered what the heck led up to that specific moment. And now we get to see it. And now you've got the Obi-Wan movie, and I've always like, oh my God, there's so much stories they could tell with Obi-Wan Kenobi on Tatooine getting into some amazing adventures. And that he is like one of the best characters in Star Wars, is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I'm so glad that they're finally going to be making a movie about just him and let us go on his adventures. And they better have freaking Ewan McGregor.
Oh yeah,
Of
for
course.
sure. They have
Of
to.
I
course.
will. I mean, I'm going to write because him and Alec Guinness, they are Obi-Wan Kenobi. Nobody else. If they don't do it with Ewan McGregor, then they're screwing themselves up.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, they
I
have
think
to
they're
do
smart enough. They're smart
know,
enough.
yeah,
Yeah,
they
they
know.
know.
And Ewan has said multiple times that he wants to come back and do it.
Yeah,
And
there's
do-
no
and
reason
And he's
why
the
they
perfect
wouldn't.
age now. He's the perfect age now.
Perfect age, exactly. That's my whole point. Like, he's literally now in his mid-40s, almost 50, and that is the perfect age to go between, that 20-year period. You've got so much stories that you can tell in there, and exactly, he's at that perfect age. This is his time, and they better capitalize and take advantage of it. I don't care for a Boba Fett movie. I love Boba Fett, but the mystery of Boba Fett is more important to me than knowing everything, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I agree.
Han Solo, I didn't need a Han Solo movie. I'm going to watch it, and I'm probably going to love it because it's Han Solo. I love Han Solo. But again, that mystery of Han Solo really made me love him a lot more. And now I'm going to get to see all of his past and stuff, and we're finally going to get to see him run, the course in 12 parsecs and all that great stuff. But it's such a great time to be a Star Wars fan, just period.
Yeah, it is. That's true.
Oh, wow.
You know what's funny is I'm sitting here on the Skype and I'm looking at the chat and I just keep staring at Phil and his
Oh yeah,
facial
yeah.
expression.
I keep glancing over.
I kept thinking because it happens a lot as well because we're almost coming to the full 3 hours, that we've been going for this podcast.
I didn't
and
think
I
I was
find-
going to last all 3 hours, but wow,
That's-
it has been.
It's just the Kill Connor Club. It
That's
grabs
what I
you
was
by
about
the
to say.
balls, and it keeps you around.
Now, you guys are great. I mean, thanks for, obviously inviting me out to this. And I love doing things like this where I just get to talk to other fans and other fans of games and stuff like that and just people. Because some people think that when you become on YouTube and then you get a lot of subscribers and then, you get people saying, oh, my God, I'm a huge fan. And then I ask, why are you a huge fan? And God, I'm just like you. I'm a fan of you. We're the same people. We love games. There's nothing special about me. I'm not a celebrity in any way whatsoever. I'm just a guy who loves to play video games. That's all we are. And I can't stand, I've met so many YouTubers out there that at different events that sit there and will say, I don't give a shit about my audience. I don't care any about that. I just care about making money. And it pisses me off that those guys get so big because they don't give a crap. And I can't be that person. I can't be that guy that doesn't care about every single person that watches my videos or the community that we've created or the love of gaming that just the hardcore gamers have. And you guys, I can definitely tell, you guys are gamers. You care more about that than you care about anything else. And that's exactly what you need to do. Because if you let that show more than anything else, then the fans are just going to keep coming in. They're just going to keep coming in. I've talked to people in so many different countries. I mean, in the Army I get to do that, and then on my channel I get to do that. It's like, it's so perfect. I love it every single day.
I agree. One of the biggest things that's come out of this podcast and a bunch of us doing YouTube is the community we've built from it and the audience that gets to be part of that community, and we're all just sort of, good friends. It is a really good time.
Yep.
I was talking to I was on the phone to my mother last night, and she was talking about James. She just calls James Richard the horse, though. She never calls him James. She's like Richard the horse, and I'm like James. She's like, yeah, no, I'm not calling him James. And I'm like, okay.
What's the Richard the horse from? Because I see that on your Twitter. But
Yeah, it's so what happened was back in 2014, I did this Let's Play of Assassin's Creed 2. And there was one point, I think, I think I was making fun of like Lil Wayne lyrics because one of his rhymes is like, "I'm so rich they call me Richard." So I said that, and it was just like a passing comment, and then everyone started calling me Richard. Then in another video, I made this joke about like becoming a horse or something, and so then Victor, who's now a good friend of mine, Cryomaniac, called me Richard the Horse, and I was like, I'm making that a thing, but it's just stuck for like the past 3 years, and so
now that's your Twitter handle.
yeah,
right?
I just go by that. So many people know it. There's a lot of people that are a little bit confused because it's an old joke, but I love it. It's great.
It's a classic.
Yeah, it's always fun to have that kind of story to be able to to have.
It was like that. James and I have been doing this podcast together for over 3 years now. James, one of my closest friends. We talk to each other.
Do you do it
almost every day? We do it every 2 weeks on YouTube, and we have a Patreon exclusive podcast we do every other week that it's not on. That's like just a people's one. We just get patrons on. It's really great for us to just talk to like the people that listen to us.
People and that support you the most.
Exactly right.
Yeah,
like, and it's really good. And we have, you have great people on there that, and great feedback from that. So that's like our fun little thing that we do extra. So, James and I are doing podcasts every single week, and I've talked to so many people, but James and I have never met in person yet. Right? So, like, which is crazy to think about. So when I was on the phone with my mother last night, she's like, that'd be crazy when you've got to meet him, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, like, it'll be great. But I'm like, I feel like it'll be exactly the same.
I think you two are going to hit it off. I see a relationship brewing in the future. I mean, you two you sparkle. You just got
we're definitely going to fuck, so, no big deal.
We're not debating that. I mean, that's obvious. I mean, that doesn't need to be said.
Of course.
But
that's what's great about the internet is you're able to like, not meet people, but still get to know people and really form a connection with them, even though you've never met them,
That's true, yeah.
That's
exactly.
weird to think like that I've never met James, but I know him so well.
Yeah, it's strange. It is strange.
Well, and I understand, Tyler, your attraction to him because, I mean, if he's got a nickname like Richard the Horse,
Exactly.
I assume he has a horse dick. I assume he has a horse.
You'd be assuming, right?
Yeah. You guys are crazy.
And I'm just like, I don't discriminate. Like I've got a positive attitude, and I'm down for whatever. James knows that. So I'm
Exactly,
like, well, if he's got a horse.
Yeah, that's why we worked well together.
Okay.
Just your love of video games and my love of horse dick. So there we are. There it is.
Yeah.
Just laying it out there.
Yeah.
This isn't the
yeah.
time. I'll trust me.
I like a man that gets straight to the point.
Yeah. Yeah, but we know how to do that. We know how to dick it down like real fast. We've got a couple of 1-2 dick times over on this podcast.
Yoda likes horses.
This is going
Hey, Kermit likes horses too. I mean, don't worry about that. I mean, I love horses as well.
This has gone to another level.
We always do.
level.
We always do go to another level.
What? And see, I got a fever, and the only prescription is more Richard the Horse.
What the fuck is going on?
This has just gone to like some deep levels. This is what happens. This is almost a standard, Chris, when we get to almost what we call the full 3, is that the podcast just starts to deteriorate into nonsense. But it's one of my favorite parts.
Nice and deep black.
This is one of the this is one of the best bits. We always used to make the ending when we got near the full 3, the hashtag Ethan joins section, which was someone in the community that became one of our close friends, and that was it. That was a segment, but it's not anymore because it wouldn't really make sense. But that was one of those sort of shit talking segments, which was always a good time.
No, I love just being able to. I don't get to do this enough. I try to do this with, my Discord every now and then when I get a chance to. But being full-time YouTube takes up so much of my time, and I mean, even though I'm at this computer every single second, if I'm not working for the Army, I'm just constantly moving and doing stuff, and especially now, like starting now until the end of the year, like my plate is like completely full. I mean, every game that's coming out. There's just so much to
crazy.
do, and it's unfortunate because I miss the days of when I could sit on my couch, you know, in my underwear with my hand down my pants and just playing the game and just enjoying it, you know. Just enjoying it, you know.
Yeah,
I
all
don't get to
those-
do that
yeah.
anymore. Like, unfortunately, even though I love playing video games, obviously you see my passion for Assassin's Creed and other games. I love it still, yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to also, not only when I'm playing a video game, I have to think about, is the recording, you know, doing well? How's the quality? Is my voice being heard correctly? I have to worry about all this other stuff.
Is my camera turned on before I stream? Like,
Exactly. Yeah, that's something somebody should have worried about. But it's like I worry about all this other stuff now instead of just focusing on the game. So I've kind of lost touch with how it is to just be a gamer, you know? And so what I do is when I play Rock Band, because I've got my drum set behind me, my V drum set that I practice on all the time. So anytime that I want to escape, you know, video games in general, or just the editing process, the recording process, and all that, I'll sit back and I'll just play drums and I'll just like kind of just forget about everything and just relax and I'll feel like at that moment I'm normal again. I'm just a guy who doesn't worry about anything and is just playing for fun, as opposed to always trying to worry about, oh, I got to get this video out as quickly as possible, because obviously the quicker you get a video out, the more views you're going to get and all this kind of stuff. And now it's just all turned into views. It's all about views. And it sucks the life out of you, man. Yeah. So, you know, my advice for you guys is don't, you know, the audience that you build it from being yourselves. Don't incorporate the strategies that a lot of YouTubers use into breaking embargoes or you know, trying to get things out there as quickly as possible. It's like, make sure the stuff that you put out has as much of you and your thought process into it. Like if a trailer comes out or a video comes out, take the time, study that video or something like that, instead of just putting it up there and hoping for views, because it sucks the life out of you when you sit there and you just think about it all the time. And it really, I love YouTube and I love what it does, but it can be very, very stressful sometimes. And I'm sure some of you guys have felt that as well. It's just worrying about this stuff all the time just completely sucks. I just want to sit back and relax. I haven't had a day off. I never take a day off, ever. I'm always in this room. My wife's down there, you know. I try to make time at the end of the night and, you know, have a couple of hours where we can watch a movie together or something like that. But I'm in this room, you know, from the moment I wake up until I go to bed, and it sucks the life out of you. So I'm just trying to do what I can in my little small area, my little small portion of YouTube, and try to meet as many people and get to know as many people as I can before the end of the world, which is coming very, very soon. And it's a great way to stay in shape.
Classic.
What was it like for you to make a transition from going, you know, full time in the military to going, okay, no, I can do this?
I feel like I'm wasting my life. Like right now, I feel like I'm wasting my life. I love what I do, but I feel like I'm wasting my life. When I was full-time active for 15 years straight, all my adulthood, 15 years, every single day, waking up at 5:30, 6 o'clock, going PT, then, you know, doing Army stuff, and then music, and then all that stuff. I felt like, okay, my life has a purpose. I'm doing something. I'm creating a foundation for later. Then this YouTube thing started. I was balancing both, trying to at least, and then I couldn't go to certain events because the Army wouldn't let me go, or because, you know, I couldn't get leave, and, you know, it's such a hard process. And I was like, you know what? It's not many times that people get to, you know, try to live a dream, and this is my dream. I'm doing my dream right now. But sometimes dreams are dreams because they should only be dreams, and they should never be reality, because sometimes once they become reality, the dream is gone, right? And then you realize that live in the moment and don't care so much about every little minute detail. I wake up all the time and I think, oh my God, you know, all my friends, you know, they've already been doing stuff for 3 hours, and here I am just waking up, you know, and I haven't done anything yet or something, or, you know, because I worked late that night and I didn't wake up until like 11 or something. But I miss it.
So what's your next
getting
step?
up that early. What do you mean?
Well, you're saying you miss it. Do you feel like you're gonna go back full time with the army? Are you gonna do something else, or do you want to keep doing YouTube full time? Like, what's your next move?
I want to keep doing YouTube full time because the satisfaction that I get when I read the comments, that is what keeps my motivation going. When I'll go through the list of comments, I'll get hundreds of comments every single day, and I'll go through the list of it, and I'll try to answer the things that are relevant that I feel like can be answered. Like some people just say stupid things, I'm not going to answer them, but I try to answer what I can. When people ask questions, I get all kinds of emails from developers or from other companies, and I'm just kind of all over the place. But I love it because it's like this world, man, it's going to shit. So if there's anything that I want to do, this is it right now. Even if I complain sometimes, even if I get, upset at things, even if YouTube's demonetization is sucking major Richard Horsedick.
Fantastic reference, yeah.
Yeah, I try. It's just I love what I do, and that's why that's why we have Patreons, to help us be able to continue to do these kinds of things, and all the people that I have on my Patreons, I thank them all the time, and I mean, without them, it would be so hard. Just because, I dropped demonetization. I dropped at least 50% of what I was making, this year whenever that stuff hit, and that was a big hit because I already dropped, $5-6 grand a month just based off of going from active to not active in the military. So that's like a double hit that I've taken. So the moment my dream becomes alive, it gets shattered. You know what I mean? Like the moment I finally start to live my dream and things are going well for like 1 or 2 months, and then this YouTube thing hit, it was like, oh my gosh, it's like everything just went downhill all of a sudden. But you live with the decisions you make because they help you to make decisions that you make in the future. So I always like to quote Batman Begins, why do we fall? So we can learn to pick ourselves back up again. So as many times as I fall, as many times as YouTube goes down, I'll keep pushing myself, and I'll keep doing what I got to do. If I got to get a part-time job doing something else, I'll keep doing it just to make sure that I can continue to keep this channel alive for as long as America is not bombarded with nuclear bombs.
This got deep. This got real
Very,
deep.
very deep. Like I'm deep inside you right now, Brian.
Okay.
I'm inside you. I'm inside you, Brian.
Okay.
We haven't had a deep Kill Connor Club moment in a while. That's normally Tyler normally initiates those.
Yeah. Well,
but all I gotta say is, guys, man, if you have a dream, try to go for it. And even if you fail at it, know that you went for something. You took a chance at a high school dance with a missy who was ready to play.
Your references are fucking on point. I love
You're good at that. You are good at
gonna
that.
say something serious.
I've watched way too many movies. I know every music thing you could ever think about. So I just, I can do references all day long, all
great.
night long.
Fantastic.
Oh man, that's great. You're definitely right, man. Like it's all about whether you achieve something or not. The going for it's the key to anything. If as long as you're giving it a shot.
I'd rather wake up knowing I tried to accomplish something than wake up knowing that I was too afraid.
I've talked about this on the podcast a bunch of times. Is Conor McGregor's coach's catchphrase? His book's entitled this. It's win or learn. You either win or you learn. You can't lose if you're out there doing something.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
Even though he did lose, which is sad.
Well, he made $150 million. I don't think he lost.
I know. Exactly, yeah.
What did
but
he
we all
lose
wanted him to win, that was for sure.
A stupid game. He lost at a stupid game, but he won in life, and that's what really matters.
Well, he for one thing that he did is that he put the sport further up on the map.
He did MMA further. Thank you to him.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing that you have to take from it. And as much shit talk as both of them do, the afterness, the love and respect that they've shown each other afterwards shows you that sometimes competition, that kind of thing, it fuels people, but the true meaning behind it is clear afterwards. You know, that
Oh,
the
exactly.
intentions are
It shows
always
you show your true colors afterwards, right?
honorable. You know, respect. You know, if you lose, hey, you know, just like he did. I watched his whole interview after the fight, and he was just talking about, you know what, he came out and he, you know, I couldn't handle him. His stamina and all that stuff, his endurance. You know, he was doing amazing things, and I lost. You know, and having that type of humbleness is something that DSP does not have. So
Yeah.
that is why Conor McGregor is awesome.
He is awesome.
That's
All right.
true.
Well, we've hit
But
the
Aliens Colonial Marine sucks.
except everything is awesome except that.
Yeah.
So we've hit the full 3. So Chris, I
done.
want to thank you, man, for coming on.
Thank you, gentlemen.
You're awesome,
thanks
dude.
very much.
Definitely want to get you on again.
Yeah,
whenever
sure.
you like.
Just let me know, and I'll always try to. I'll definitely watch this full podcast as well. I don't know. What do you guys usually do? Do you like put video behind it or something?
Just an image, just a little Kill Connor Club logo, and then it'll also go up on SoundCloud and iTunes as well.
And then you put it on YouTube as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, YouTube is usually the main where we get most of the views because we do them. You know, usually not always. Probably like 50% of the time we do them live.
And
the podcast live on
I'll
YouTube.
get when you post the video, I will retweet it on my Twitter, and I'll let everybody know to come over and check it out, and hopefully that'll give you guys a little bit more exposure as well.
That'd be great.
Fantastic, mate.
Thanks,
Love it. Well, thank you, Chris,
All right.
so much for joining
Thank you,
us,
guys.
James. James, do you want to go through the Patreons?
Patreons. Okay, if you enjoyed the podcast, everybody, then I would recommend heading over to patreon.com/AsAlways, where you can get exclusive podcasts as well as other content. Every week, the Kill Connor Club isn't on, and some of you fantastic patrons are Ben, exactly, Ben or Modorox, Victor Moreno, Quizhek, Josh Devillier, Ian or Xeno Rheao, Damian, Mario 5380, Lumistrad, Longed Fox, George, Yazen, Joshua Maurer, Gene, Marcus, Blackburn, TheHumbleWorm, Nimbus, Seth, Tom Cunningham, Oscar, RAVJAI, Zack Neely, Son of a Bitch Ogeaidogo, Tyler Tranter, Brendon, All BQ Overlord, and Pink Flame 313. Thank you very much, you sweet vintage lads, for all of your lovely support. And that's it. That's it for the podcast. So we'll see you all next time. We'll see you in a week for Clubhouse, and in 2 weeks for the next episode of Kill Connor Club. So thanks for joining us, Chris, again.
Thank you guys for having me. Stay safe, and remember, every single day you go out there and you wake up, do something good for somebody. Pay it forward. Wake up with a smile, live life, and have fun.
That's a way more positive message than I think we've
We're
ever
used to.
given.
What inspiring
yeah,
words.
crazy.
And Alien Colonial Marine sucks.
Of
Really
course.
sucks. Well,
All right,
and
sweet.
thank you for your service, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and we'll see everyone next time. Goodbye. Peace.
Bye.
Peace out.
No, Peter.
Perfect.
Well, no, not a double
Perfect.
peace. Okay.